Well, good morning or good afternoon, everybody. It's a few minutes after 12 o'clock Eastern time, so I want to make sure that we get things started here. There may be other people that will be joining us later, but my name is Al Bartosik. I am the executive director of the Fordham Foundry, and it's my pleasure to welcome you all to the 5th annual Foundry Pitch Challenge. We had a record number of teams apply this year, over 114. We had a record number of teams participate in the first round judging, which took place on Thursday and Friday evenings. There were about 56 teams that participated in that. And we're happy to bring you and proud to bring you the top 12 today, semi-finalists, and then the 4 finalists will go right after that, picked from that group. And then we will also have our social impact round, which will start at around 12:45. And so we're really excited to go. I would like to introduce Dean Rapiccioli, who's going to play, they're going to play a short video welcoming you all to the Pitch Challenge. And then after that, Lauren Sweeney will be your MC for the day, and we'll turn it over to her. Thanks.
Hi, everyone. I'm Donna Rapiccioli, Dean of the Gabelli School of Business. It's a joy to welcome you to the 5th annual Pitch Challenge. First, I want to say a special thank you to our sponsors, AWS, Breck, SendGrid, and Stripe, for making today's competition possible. I also want to thank Al Bartosik and the whole team from the Foundry for their dedication to entrepreneurship at Fordham. I always look forward to the Foundry's Pitch Challenge. It's such a fantastic display of creativity, entrepreneurship, and innovation. I also love getting a glimpse into the lives of our students and hearing their stories. This year, innovation is certainly at the forefront of all of our minds. It'll come as no surprise that a record number of applications came in this year, 114, from students and alumni representing all 9 schools within Fordham University. 56 teams, believe it or not, presented on Thursday and Friday, and I'm excited to see what the top 12 teams, along with our top 4 social impact finalists, will share. I know their ideas are on a wide range of topics, from wellness to e-commerce to sustainability. At Fordham, we're truly committed to helping our students bring their ideas to reality. It's demonstrated in the pride that we take in hearing about your ideas, but also in the fact that we're able to provide $20,000 in prize money. I hope that this prize money serves as a lever to allow you to advance your businesses. Please enjoy today's presentations and good luck to everyone.
Thank you, Dean Rapiccioli, for that intro. I am Lauren Sweeney. I'm entrepreneur in residence here at the Fordham Foundry. I'm also co-founder at Deliver Zero, a restaurant delivery platform that uses reusable containers. And I'm a proud Fordham alum. I graduated from Fordham College, Rose Hill. So thank you all for joining today. All of the teams who entered have worked so hard. Like you heard from Donna, there were a record number of teams that entered this year. And every team you'll hear from today has worked so hard to be among the few who get to share their pitches today. And everyone who entered the competition and went through the coaching rounds truly put so much work in, and I'm excited for you to hear their pitches. A few logistical iterations before we get started. We have 6 semi-finalist teams presenting first. Then there will be 4 social impact finalists and a networking break. After the networking break, we'll have an additional 6 semi-finalists and another networking break before the final 4. And then an affinity group session. We'll explain what that means later in the presentation. It means you get to be in a networking break with people who might have similar interests. And then we'll announce the winners. So there will be 2 networking breaks. Those will allow for chance connections with other Fordham alums, Fordham students, members of the Fordham community. And there will be a chance to vote for the People's Choice winner through the PreVC app. So you'll see on your screens in just a second the QR code you can use. So if you scan that QR code with your phone, you'll be taken to download the PreVC app where you can register, and then you'll be able to vote on the People's Choice Award. And the winner of the People's Choice Award will win real prize money. So this is an exciting chance to help the idea you like the most get funded. So first, I would like to introduce our semi-finalist judges. We have Zuli Clark, a startup consultant and entrepreneur. Matt Craig, the co-founder and CEO of Blink. Georgie Ann Gettin, a strategic execution consultant at GSD Solutions. Mike Dorley, founder of the US Debt Forum. And Jack Polikar, Chief Operating Officer at Food. Our first 6 teams are Noted, Tapisserie, Shorgan's Tracker, Delos Pay, Dog Delivery, and Cat Cuisine, and Toby. So we are going to kick off with Team 1, Noted.
All right, awesome. I'll just share my screen. And can everybody see this? Yep, all right, all set then. Hello, my name is Kevin Stoltenborg, and I am here to present Noted, a way to redesign the path to your career. So let's talk about the problem. As you can see here, in high skill and low skill jobs, there are more qualified workers than there are job opportunities. But in middle skill jobs, there are more job opportunities than there are qualified workers. The economic impact of this is massive, and the social impact is an increasing divide between high income and low income families. So what is a middle skill, specifically skilled job? Well, it's jobs that require education and training that's more so than a high school degree, but less than a 4-year college degree. These include EMTs, teaching assistants, and power line installers. So to get a general gist of what the salary is for these kinds of jobs, in the low end, you have $30,000, and on the high end, you have $100,000 and more. To an unemployment population of 10 million people, a check like that would really mean something special. So somehow we need to get people qualified for these positions to receive the benefits. The solution is Noted, the middleman between employees and employers. What we do is train employees with the specific skills they need to land a job at no upfront cost. We're able to do this by contracting a % of our students' salaries once they are secured in a job. Meanwhile, they gain valuable, directly related in-depth skills for a desired career. Additionally, we provide career services to make sure they stand out in the application process and not only get the job, but get paid and help us get paid as well. So what's our business model? We contract 10% of the salary for a minimum of 6 months or until all costs are settled. With just 0.001% of the market, that generates a revenue of nearly $300,000. Of course, this increases as more students secure jobs and more students secure higher paying jobs. So what's the competition look like? Well, some companies will offer certification programs, or even universities offer diplomas that don't necessarily guarantee you a job. And others can offer job security, but not any in specific area that Noted is targeting. Our competitive advantage is that we have the lowest rate while helping people secure specifically skilled jobs in blue-collar industries. Additionally, as stated before, we provide career services to help them stand out. But more importantly, we have hiring relationships with companies to mitigate unemployment risk, as well as increase or decrease job search stress. So the bottom line is, instead of having you bet on our services, we bet on you and put our money where our mouth is to secure the job that you want. So let's help you get noticed at Noted and get the job you deserve. Thank you.
Do we jump right into questions on the presentation?
No, we are not doing Q&A until after all of the teams are done pitching. Thank you
Oh,
for.
Got it. Okay,
Oh.
cool.
Oh, Lauren, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to contradict you. No, the
Oh.
Q&A takes place right
Okay.
after each presentation. So that way the judges
I'm
have,
sorry.
well, it's fresh in their mind. So yeah, so we have about 3 minutes of Q&A starting now. So if someone could take down Kevin's slides and we could spotlight the 5 judges and Kevin, that would be great.
All right. Do you need me to stop sharing?
Please do.
All right.
There we go.
So can I start with the question, Kevin?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so just very quickly, what's your go-to-market strategy?
So the go-to market strategy is actually so best explained through our minimum viable product, and that has started out in a basis of starting with career services and then launching into those certification programs, and even to go further in depth. Throughout this process, while working with the Fordham Foundry, I've actually been contacted by educational programs and secured one specific educational program to help people who need resume building, as well as just general career advice on how to get that job that they really want and secure. Either sometimes it's starting out at the low skill level job or reaching that middle skill level job.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
Let's move on to Zuli. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, sure. It's Zule. Hey, Kevin.
Zuli, I'm sorry.
No worries. Hi. So question about your competitors. I saw on one of the slides that you mentioned that they typically take a commission of about 17% and yours is about 10. How are you able to undercut them so much? What do you think is your true differentiator that lets you get it at that price?
Definitely. So the true differentiator, I don't want to say that it was maybe they're being too want to get too much revenue, but when I crunch the numbers of the average salary of a middle skill worker and even the average salary of a low skill worker, I found that you really, to break even at building a website and also marketing and the general amount of money that somebody would pay for a program like this, you would only need nearly 3 to 5%. And then all that extra percentage is just added on as a profit margin. So I didn't want to go too greedy onto the 17%. And I also wanted to undercut the competition in a sense by going for that 10%. And am I allowed to share slides right now? Okay. And just as a visual representation of that, I do have some extra slides here that go into the cost analysis of designing a website and what it would cost for those starting career services per person, and then even the marketing sector. And then if you look at the average salary for a job, it's a middle skill job is $32,000. And once calculated out, you would only need about 3.75%. And then for the low skill jobs or lower skill jobs, you would only need 4.86%.
We have time for about 2 more questions.
Hi, Kevin. It's Georgie. I had a question about your team. So is it just you right now? And if so, what do you think your first hire, like who would be the first person you have join the team to help you build this?
Exactly. That's a great question. And so right now it is just me, but I've also been in talks with many actual college students who are willing to offer that kind of career service advice that people could need to help build resumes using templates. And that kind of is the basis. But as it expands and grows, what I would love to do is actually have either student teachers on the first level, but then eventually grow to paid teachers. And then that's where it really starts to take form and take shape, when you have those teachers deliberately teaching the in-depth skills that people need for those middle skill level jobs.
So
For one more question, Jack, I was going to call on you.
awesome. Real quick question. So this is very similar to Lambda, very familiar with their model. What is going to prevent them from shifting over to skilling this population rather than just focusing on developers?
Exactly. I think Lambda currently, yeah, as you said, they're focusing on developers primarily in the maybe more so the white collar industry, and and to kind of deter them from coming into what we're creating is that they have their sector already implemented and they're going for it and they're marketing as well. But in a sense, they're missing that key component of thinking about somebody who needs help in the larger sense. So, and that's where Noted takes in effect.
Cool. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.
So now we will move on to group 2, Tapestry.
Right. Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, everyone. Let me get my slide. Good afternoon. Let me get our slides up, and then we'll get ready to rock and roll. Okay. Just confirm when you can actually see my screen. All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see it.
All right. Krishna, whenever you're ready, let's start.
All right, I'm ready. Next slide. Hi, everyone. Meet my friend Jennifer. She looks a little frustrated in this picture because for the past 6 months, she's transitioned from chemically straightening her hair to embracing her naturally tight curly hair and is in desperate need of how to maintain it. She spent countless hours sifting through social media, tutorials, and vlogs. She's overwhelmed with the amount of ethnic hair care products, and her ending result is just sheer confusion and frustration. Next slide. So I have a confession to make. My quote friend, Jennifer, is actually me. Hi, everyone. My name is Krishna Baker, and I am the founder of Tapestry. I am one of the founders of Tapestry. Carl Osborne, who is presenting with me today, is also another founder and our CTO. Next slide. So after interviewing over 250 women of color, their pain point aligns with, quote, Jennifer's pain point. We realized there was a huge opportunity here because in 2020 alone, the ethnic hair care market was valued at $2.5 billion. And between 2018 and 2019, Black consumers spent $54 million in this market. So I had an idea. Next slide.
And that idea is that we created a mobile app that will connect Jennifer's hair type with relevant products, stylists, users, and tutorials. How this works is that we'll encourage Jennifer to download our app on Android or iOS. Jennifer will create a profile, which is completing a hair quiz. Based on that hair quiz, it will identify a unique hair type for Jennifer, and our proprietary algorithm will connect that with products, stylists, users, and tutorials, all surrounding that hair type, truly making this a one-stop resource and streamlining Jennifer's user experience.
So here we outline the advantages over our competition, which include having a 24/7 platform, a social community, and curated and personalized product recommendations. Next slide. So our revenue streams. Our key revenue streams would include charging our vendor a 15 to 30% commissions fee for hair care products and tools, which are within the beauty industry standards, sponsorship ads, and in-app purchases. Next slide. So our go-to-market, to increase visibility, we would attend hair industry trade shows, procure beauty micro-influencers, and run social media ads. Next slide. Oh, you're on mute, Carl.
So we launched in 2019 a website and started our podcast with the hopes of recruiting 150 beta testers, including end users, vendors, and stylists. We also completed design in 2020, started development, and even implemented an e-commerce API to host vendors. In 2021, we completed our development. Now we're doing validation in hopes of a spring beta testing and go live in summer of 2021.
Well, this concludes our presentation, and thank you, and feel free to visit us at tapestry.style.
Thank you, Krishna and Carl. Does any judge have a particular inclination to go first, or can I call on someone? Okay, we haven't heard from Matt yet. Matt, do you have a question? Okay, then let's move on to Georgie. Georgie, any questions you want to ask? think we might have someone on mute. Okay. Zule, do you have any questions?
The unmute wasn't working. Like we couldn't
Oh.
unmute ourselves. Like you had to give us permission to
Oh, I'm
unmute.
sorry.
Mike also has a question, so I think you have to
Okay.
like, request to unmute him.
Yes, I do have a question, but I couldn't unmute myself. That was
Okay,
terrible.
we'll go in that order when
Okay.
we can properly unmute people. Thanks, everyone.
Okay. All right, cool. Can I ask? Am I good to go?
Yes, you're good to go, Matt.
Okay, great. First of all, excellent energy. Really appreciate the drive with the presentation. It went really well. So you guys are integrating a range of different products into the platform. Is that transaction happening on the app so that you guys are able to charge your fees, or is this kind of some type of drop shipping method? Like, how are you capturing your margin on every sale? And how long is it going to take? Like, how many vendors do you guys think you need to bring in to start hitting kind of good revenue, good net income on all those sales?
Carl, can you unmute your mic? You can't unmute your mic either. You're stuck. Okay. So basically, what we do. So basically, I'll respond to that. So we have a third-party API, CS Cart, and basically that's the platform we're using. So it's a third party, and they're being onboarded onto that app. So within that application, there is, we have the ability to break it down into different tiers for the vendors. So in order for us to start to see some form of revenue, we need to have at least 25 plus vendors onboarded. We're trying to, we're still working through the numbers as far as when we'll see a profit per se, because what we wanted to do once we onboard them is give them at least a 30-day trial period just to kind of see how everything is. We're doing a beta testing. We're going to be doing beta testing within the next 2 months, but pretty much like that's where we are with everything. I know Carl can speak to it a little bit deeper because he's so close to that because it's so tech. But unfortunately,
no, well, I'm on.
Oh,
yeah,
perfect.
so the host gave me access to unmute.
Nice.
So, all right. So just in a nutshell, to answer your question, as I mentioned before, we integrated CS Cart API. And for those folks who don't know what CS Cart is, it's basically the same platform like an eBay, Etsy, Amazon, which is a virtual mall. So we implemented that within the mobile app. And so shipping, credit card transactions are all going to be done within our Tapsery platform. So there is no drop shipping. There's a direct link to the vendor. They'll be able to go into their mini store within our mall and then enter shipping and credit card processing.
So you will never touch inventory. You'll never have to worry about supply chain and inventory at all.
That is correct. What Krishna is providing is basically a platform or her mall, so to speak. So her King's Plaza. And then she's renting out little stores to all of vendors who just don't have a platform on Amazon or Etsy and those platforms.
Okay.
So
cool.
as far as the corporation, yeah, no, we're not touching any product.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, next, Zule, if you want to ask your question, and then Georgie.
Georgie can go ahead. I know she was next.
Okay.
All right, thank you. So my question is around like, how are you guys planning to manage the market as it grows? I feel personally like, I had a similar story to Krishna. You went natural, but I feel like the market is ever evolving with different products, different titles for things. So how are you guys planning to keep up? Is there like an algorithm like beneath it? Like how are you making sure that it's like the proper information as product get recalled, as they reclassify like hair types and textures and all the things that happen inside of this industry?
Krishna, I could take this first, if you don't mind. All right.
Yeah.
So one of the things why I was intrigued to join this this project was because it's truly a service that we provide for women like you and Jennifer and Krishna. You all know that what it takes to, when you want to get a specific hair type, you have to look on Instagram, YouTube to find tutorials. You have to walk through the aisles and Sally's and a plethora of other stores. What we're trying to do is make it a one-stop shop resource to prevent all of that.
Mm-hmm.
As trends start to develop and new hairstyles start to emerge, we are truly depending, or we will assist our vendors to kind of promote and market that within our end user sphere. We will also utilize our marketing as far as a corporation to promote and to kind of entice the influencers to come into our platform to show off what are those new hairstyles and those new trends.
So I'll add to that and say we're doing a lot of social listening. So, you know, the feedback that we're getting from our questions or our quiz that we ask each user that comes on, you know, we want to make sure that we're conversing with them. We want to make sure that we are in the know. So we're doing a lot of social listening. And then in that time, Carl and I will sit down and we'll go back and we'll reiterate as we start to expand and we start to see different trends emerging.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you guys so much.
Sure.
So unfortunately, we're out of time for the last question. Great job, Carl and Krishna, for answering those two questions. Next, we will move on to the next team, Shorgan's Trackers. You can begin sharing your slides.
Okay, got it. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ingrid He, the founder of Shogun's Tracker. I'm currently an MBA student at the Gabelli School of Business. About 10 years ago, I was actually studying law at Fordham Law School when I was suddenly hit with waves of fatigue and flu-like symptoms. I went to countless doctor's appointments over a period of 5 years before I was finally diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder called Sjogren's. That's when I found out that there was a whole class of autoimmune conditions, including arthritis, celiac, lupus, and Sjogren's, where the body's immune system essentially attacks its own healthy cells, causing the patients to feel sick. Now, there are no cures for these conditions, and patients are expected to manage their symptoms by keeping track of them on a paper journal or worksheet like the one on the right here. There are about 1 to 4 million people in the United States alone with Sjogren's syndrome, who will be my initial marketing target before expanding toward those with autoimmune conditions in general, which affect up to 24 million people in the United States. And those numbers are only expected to rise over time, as a recent study has suggested that the incidence of autoimmune diseases is rising in the United States. So the problem here is that there's a need for autoimmune patients to track symptoms, medications, and other factors. Paper journals are time-consuming and inefficient, and there's no easy way to visualize data recorded on paper. The solution is a digital app that allows users to customize, track daily, and visualize their data through statistics and graphics. The current app that is in the App Store allows users to create an account, customize symptoms, aggravators, allows them to track daily, and over time generates graphics and statistics. The current business model is a freemium one where users can access standard features for free and subscribe to premium features for about $2 a month. Premium features include numerical ratings and graphics for individual symptoms, as well as the ability to customize food groups. Based on early data from the past 2 months, we have a rough projection for future revenues. Essentially, if the app can reach up to 500,000 users in the next 3 to 5 years, with an average of 5% of users subscribing to premium, then we will be able to achieve $500,000 in annual revenue. The market adoption strategy will focus heavily on partnerships with organizations such as Sjogren's Foundation, social media marketing campaigns through Instagram and Facebook, as well as word of mouth through physicians, other users, and app store reviews. In terms of the competitive landscape, there's a variety of generic symptom tracking apps, some very basic to some more expensive ones. Sjogren's Tracker seeks to dominate the upper right quadrant, where it can create a tailored experience for autoimmune patients at an affordable rate. Indeed, based on current user feedbacks, the things that are highlighted is that the app seems to be a one-stop solution that is customizable and easy to use. And finally, I'm going to leave you with the app's potential social impact to help millions affected by autoimmune disorders, who also happen to predominantly be female. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid. Zulay, since you didn't get to ask your question on the last presentation, I'd love for you to kick off this one.
Thank you, and great job, Ingrid. That was super thorough. I guess more follow-up questions on how you're attracting users. You mentioned the Sjogren's Foundation. Are there other channel type partners like those that you've reached out to, and how far have you gotten so far?
So currently the 2 main things I'm doing is a Facebook group, an account which I'm getting from where I'm getting a lot of feedback. And the other thing is I have an Instagram account with about 3,000 followers. So I'm reaching out through that channel and Facebook. And the other thing, I guess it's not so much outreach, is I'm sort of experimenting with App Store search terms, because it turns out that most of my downloads come from App Store searches.
Great, thank you, thank you.
Mike, we haven't heard from you in a few questions, so how about you go next?
Thank you. I thought you did an excellent job also.
Thank you.
Are you considering any add-on products on this, or is just your single market right now? And how long have you been doing this for?
I've been beta testing since last summer, and the free version went live in December, but I didn't have the premium version that allows for subscriptions until about mid-January to February of this year. So it's very new. Preliminary financial data is, I don't have that much of it. And so the current premium is $2 per month. So in the future, I'm thinking if I want to expand revenue streams, I could either do what some apps do, have sort of like different tiers of premium, and have like gold and, I don't know, diamond, with the additional tiers offering additional features such as finding correlations between certain symptoms and activators. That's something down the pipe that I want to explore.
Thank you, Ingrid. We have time for 2 more questions. Jack, I'd love to hear your questions for Ingrid.
Awesome. Ingrid, this is great. I built a caregiver coordination app a few years ago for elderly and their caregivers, very similar to the tracking system you've built. And this looks great. I know a bit about the market, but have you figured out your CAC and LTV yet?
What? I'm sorry?
Customer acquisition cost and long-term value of the customer. How long are they going to be? How long do you think they're going to be using this app for? And then how much are you paying per user to acquire that user?
The short answer would be no. So I'm experimenting with Facebook ads and Instagram ads. And at the very beginning, I'm just focused on sort of creating a market and getting a large user base. Based around 2 months of information, it seems like a premium subscription is about 5% of total users. I don't have much information on retention yet. Nobody's left yet, but it's still early on.
And then I may have missed this, sorry to interrupt, but is this a lifetime condition, or does this seem to ease with age?
It's a lifetime condition. They won't get better unless a cure comes later on.
Okay, thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Ingrid. We'll move on to Delos Pay now.
Yep.
Okay, we can see your screen. You can get started as soon as you're ready.
All right. So hello, I'm Bill. I'm Nikolai, and Delos Pay wants to offer installment-based financing options for used and secondhand items. So it all started a couple of months ago when I wanted to sell my computer for $2,000, but I found out that nobody wanted to pay $2,000 upfront for a computer. And so I decided to change the listing and offer installments, which actually made more people interested in my product. But what I found out is that offering installments as an individual seller is very risky. There's no way guaranteeing that I'll get my money.
As for me, a few months ago, I was looking into buying a new phone, so I could have either bought a used phone for $800 up front or spread the payment out of a newer, brand new, more expensive phone over time. And at this time, the cost was more bearable for me to pay in monthly installments. So we want to make it so that I could have spread out the cost of that $800 used phone in installments as well.
So the way our business would work is that the seller would give the product to the buyer up front and would receive full price from our lending partner. Then the buyer would be responsible to repay the product in installments to the lending partner, which is better equipped to deal with, microloans.
Companies like Affirm, Afterpay, and Klarna do offer installment-based payment methods, but these are only to established retail stores, so it's not available on a peer-to-peer basis.
Buyers would benefit from this by being able to stretch out the payment of a more expensive item over time, making the cost more bearable in the short term. This would also encourage them to invest in secondhand items since these installments would now be available to them.
As for the sellers, they would be able to get more in return for their product. Studies show that they can get as high as 70% more by offering installments, and this would make it worthwhile for them to sell their products for the entirety of their life cycle. So the social purpose of our venture is to reduce waste, and we hope to achieve that by extending the resale window of used products and by expanding access to the resale and secondhand market products.
So the used and resale market is expected to grow from $28 billion in 2019 to $64 billion in 2024, with a 414% increase in the online portion of that resale market.
So our market strategies are three. The first and more traditional one is advertising these online marketplaces to let consumers know that our service is available. The second one is to sign deals with them, exclusive deals, so that they are able to offer our service at checkout and make it easier for our customers to use our service. And the third one, which we would like to borrow from Airbnb, is to reach directly out to users and help them create more professional listings with better photos in exchange for them using our service.
Here's a quick prototype screenshot of the mobile app we would have. It would show your purchases, sales, and transaction progress, along with allowing you to message back and forth with the seller/buyer. And that's Dealer's Pay.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Bill. Let's kick off with a question from Matt.
Hi, guys. How do you address product warranties and kind of the risk of buying used? Is there any type of insurance add-on in the roadmap?
Yeah, so ourselves, what we aim to offer is to be a facilitator between the buyer and the seller. So the issue of warranty needs to go according to the marketplace we are using. So if it's on Craigslist, then we're following Craigslist warranty process. But that's something that we haven't considered for in the future. But yeah, as of now, we are looking to follow the marketplace guidelines.
Yeah, we're not becoming our own marketplace. We're simply the facilitator of payment.
Got it. So you're just going to integrate into those marketplaces somehow,
Right.
Exactly.
as a kind of an offline solution, or right into like the click through to pay.
Right.
As sort of a payment option, like an alternative payment option.
Okay, cool. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Let's move on to a question from Georgie.
Yeah, hi guys. How do you plan to like build that first layer of like customer trust and interactions, right? There's so many different ways to pay these days, right? And everything is getting more complicated, getting more scary. So how do you guys envisioning, getting that trust with the client in the beginning?
So the way we would do this is by, first of all, partnering, as we said, with a lending partner, which assures the customer that we are financially responsible, and by making it crystal clear that what we are offering is like we are facilitating the payment. And so we think that like in facilitating and by partnering with credible institutions, there's not going to be a problem of trust with customers. So, and especially by reaching out directly to users and helping them, we also think that this will help overcome the initial barrier of not having customer trust.
Thank you.
Thank you, Georgie. Jack, let's hear a question from you.
I may just be uneducated in this space, but how is this different than Klarna or Afterpay? You briefly skimmed over why they weren't able to do what you're going after.
So yeah, Klarna Afterpay, these options are only available to existing retail stores. So you can pay with Klarna on like H&M or American Eagle, but you can't pay if you're an individual seller on Craigslist. If you wanted to offer your phone for sale in installments, there's no way you could set that up yourself.
Okay, and the reason for that is?
Well, we don't know why they haven't pursued that market. It's perhaps because the resale market was at least significantly smaller than the retail market. But as we showed in our slides, the trends show that the resale market has grown. However, in terms of like how we differentiate ourselves is that we want to offer this to everyone who wants to sell a product. So you don't need to be a company, you don't need to have an individual tax number with the federal government or be a vendor of products to sell your products with installments. That's what we're trying to overcome.
Okay. Gotcha. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. We have time for one more from Mike.
Thank you, guys. Can you talk a little bit about your financials and where you would see a break even?
Yes. So in terms of the way that our service would make money is that, as we mentioned in our slides, you can get with installment-based options, you can get up to 70% more for your used products. And since we're targeting customers that want to see an increase in how much money they make, we believe that out of this 70%, that a percentage could go to interest for the lending partner, and a percentage could go to us either through fees or through add-ons to the interest rates that the lending partner would charge. So the way we would make money is we would get a small percentage from the transaction, but this would still make it worthwhile for the seller to list their products, because you're getting so much more in return when you have installments that the small percentage that we are going to take will not make a difference. And in terms of breaking even, our service doesn't require us issuing loans. Our operations are basically around the platform that is going to allow the seller and the buyer to connect with each other. And we believe that we will be able to have enough, traffic in our platform to sustain one or possibly two full-time programmers that are required to maintain this, front end service.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Bill. Thanks, Nick. It's time for us to move on to dog delivery and cat cuisine.
Yes, thank you. Let me know when you see the screen.
Yes, we see the screen. You can take a moment so you feel ready to go. Perfect.
All right. Hello, everyone. I would like to introduce you to Delivery Dog and Cat Cuisine, a startup in the pet food industry. Also, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Duygu Torun, and I'm the founder of Delivery Dog and Cat Cuisine, and this is Joshua Isaacs, my co-founder.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here.
Our idea: Delivery Dog and Cat Cuisine aims to provide a simple, transparent, and healthy options to feeding your pets. Our food is fresh with no artificial fillers or preservatives, human grade and FDA approved, proportioned based on your pet's profile, gently cooked to retain nutrients, and comes in a resealable package shipped directly to customers. Here's an example of the profiles used to determine your pet's individual needs. As you can see, we can use the breed, weight, and activity level to assess your pet's caloric needs and also ask about other health conditions. I would also like to note that during the profiling process, we personalize the user experience. The current heavy hitters in the pet food industry supply poor quality, processed, and artificial food. You're never really sure on what is actually inside their products, and you would never consider eating it yourself. So these foods can lead to many diseases and in the worst case, to death.
Now taking a look at the market size, you can see there is a massive amount of dog and cat owners in the US, and they spent roughly $75 billion on them in 2019. Breaking it down a little further, there's 106 million households that have a dog or a cat. Here's a quick overview of our pricing model for Delivery Dog and Cat Cuisine. On average, it costs about $200 a month for fresh dog food and $130 a month for fresh cat food. These prices vary on pets' individual needs, and this can dramatically change the pricing, especially in the dog category. As you can imagine, the difference of feeding a 10-pound dog versus a 100-pound dog. Next, we'll take a look at our potential for growth, which is enormous. As I mentioned before, there are 183 million dogs and cats owned in the United States. Even with a small percentage of those customers, our revenue increases rapidly. Briefly speaking about profit margins, we're able to increase these as we scale. This will allow us to achieve lower cost of goods and create more logistical infrastructure. Lastly, the major competitors in this industry include Amazon, The Farmer's Dog, Spot and Tango, Ollie, And as you can see, the last three only include dog food. This is where delivery dog and cat cuisine stand out from the crowd because we offer both. Other unique selling propositions over our competitors include our resealable and correctly proportioned packages, and we offer a bigger variety in pet meals. And of course, we do not use artificial fillers or preservatives.
Thank you all for listening, and we are ready for questions.
Thank you. Let's start off with a question from Zule.
Hi, great job. Quick question. I'm not a pet owner, but I remember that my mom and grandma were, and they sometimes would cook their own food for the dogs. So how large is that market? And I know that there are competitors that offer fresh alternatives. How do you really see yourself positioning with the behavior of those that are currently possibly cooking meals and what already exists out there?
So we definitely see a increase and rise of people like cooking their food for the dogs, especially nowadays. Millennials and stuff are a really big target market for that without kids and treating their dogs as children. Yeah. Anybody else say?
Yes, and I think that from my experience, I was a pet sitter before. So my friends usually that did that were never sure, should I put this into my meal? Can I actually give this to my dog or my cat? So we would have this kind of scientific backup that we could offer fresh food with this FDA approved certification. So they would not worry about if the right minerals, the right nutrients are inside of the food.
Thank you, Zule. Let's move to a question from Matt.
Hey guys, so former farmer's dog customer was told by my vet that human grade food is not good for dogs. So glad to see that you're doing vet certification. I think that's a critical step in getting the product out. What is the marketing strategy for the product? Because you're getting into a space with a lot of big brands, and I don't mean like the Purinas, I mean like very content forward, social friendly brands who put a lot of messaging out. How are you going to stand out in that crowd?
I think talking about the farmer's dog especially, where we see our biggest advantage is that I noticed that usually pet owners have also a cat or a dog, so we would offer both services, so the owner would not have to just order separately for the cat or the dog. They could just come to us and have the whole package. And from a social media perspective, we would also try to hop onto TikTok in addition to like more traditional Instagram, Facebook ads and profiles, where we could also reach more millennials and also even younger generations.
Got it.
We have time for one more question. Let's take a question from Jack.
Awesome, thank you. Have you done any testing with your pricing model? I mean, I lived in Marin and like saw people dumping lots of money into dog food and dog and cat food. $200 a month though for food is insanely expensive. So have you been able to do market research to justify that price point?
So we are currently still in the prototype phase. We haven't actually reached the first customers, but based on our market research, and if you see it relatively with the potential cost you would have to pay for vet, I'm sorry for my accent.
No, totally fine.
That would basically balance it out. And I think especially having in mind that there's this emotional connection to your pet increases the readiness to also pay more.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you for the answer and great presentation. I see where you guys are coming from.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's move to the last presenter for this round, Toby. And Maura, we see your screen. So whenever you're ready.
Let me know when you're ready for me to go.
Yeah, you can
okay.
Get started whenever you're ready.
All right. Hi there. Hi, everyone. My name is Mara, and I'm here today to present my company, Toby, which is a company modernizing the sewing machine and the culture around it. So a few months ago, I went to Joann Fabrics to buy a sewing machine, and I had the most archaic shopping experience of my life. I had to wait for somebody to help me. I was shown some options and then given a personal quote as to how to buy one. The options, the decent options available to me, were all going to cost between $600 and $800 to boot. Needless to say, I didn't leave with a machine that day. I probably wasn't the only one who had this horrible shopping experience, because sewing machines actually hit their peak popularity according to Google Trends this past spring and have sustained that growth in comparison to the previous 4 years over this past year as well. Why now, you might be asking? So first and foremost, I think there's a growing realization of the environmental and human costs of fast fashion. Meanwhile, other independent or sustainable options are not very affordable and not be able to scale to reach most customers. And on top of that, there's a new generation that finds satisfaction in reinventing old stuff. In terms of the market size, the sewing and crafting market is already a $36 billion market, but also this re-commerce and thrifting market that my competitors spoke about is projected to be a $64 billion market. And within this industry, there's trends rising, to thrift flip clothes, to mend clothes to resell them, upcycle things before you resell them as well, or clothes that you've thrifted as well too. Sewing isn't just hand making clothes. It's a way to prolong a garment's life, use what you have, spend less money, earn more money selling things, rework clothes for new trends, or even personalize your clothes. But sewing still faces some stigmas. It's difficult to learn or frustrating to do, costly, of course, and then not cool, girly, or grandma-ish, all those stereotypes. That's why I've created Toby, a company that's removing all of these stereotypes that I just spoke about, making sewing easier, more affordable, and easier to do. We're also building a brand culture around upcycled clothing and showcasing that anybody can sew. In terms of, this improved machine, so just to highlight a few things, so it would have a better ability to work with thick and thin fabric, have automatic setting adjustments, guided troubleshooting, low noise, and fewer cords. If you've sewed before, you know that these changes are super welcome in terms of making the process easier. And the price would be in the range of $150 to $200 for the final product. In terms of the current market, we have, our sewing machine companies, many who have been around for centuries, and the sewing and craft retailers as well. We'd be competing as a direct-to-consumer business where you can come and buy directly from us, so competing on both sides. We're really picking up where these customers left off and these competitors left off in terms of not attracting that next market. In terms of my progress, I've done market research to come up with these changes that we'll be implementing and, come into the final machine, sourced a design partner who can build this prototype, and I'm currently raising money to fund product design, prototyping, and manufacturing. Long-term, it's not just the sewing machine. We can sell complements related to sewing, fabric patterns, and also expand this model to include other craft categories such as weaving looms and embroidery machines, for example. I'll leave you with our value prop. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maura. Georgie, let's kick off with a question from you.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great presentation, Maura. I have a question in regards to, the training, because you said that there's going to be a piece that you can hook up your phone to watch tutorials. So how is that going to, how is it going to look? Like, I'm imagining the sewing machine, you have like a little prototype mock-up, but like, how would you hook it up so it's not going to cause more weight? Because I know like different weights on a sewing machine.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll just come back to the screen. You can't see it. It isn't highlighted in some of these views, but can you see where my mouse is on this?
Yeah.
Okay, well, where that is, that pulls out and that allows you to hold in your phone, so you can do it sideways or vertical as well too. So it's not as distracting. You can push it in if you don't need it, but it is nice to have, so it's right there. You can easily view, and whether you're watching a TikTok tutorial that's vertical or watching a YouTube one that is horizontal, it works both ways as well.
And a quick follow-up question to that is just, are you guys planning to create your own content, your own tutorials of how to use your specific sewing machine? Because it sounds like
I think we can. Yeah, I think we can create both authoritative content coming from Toby and showcasing, different ways that you can use the machine, upcycle, etc. But I think we can also, work with different creators who do create a lot of, sewing and upcycling content. Even on TikTok, for example, there's billions of videos already, or videos with billions of views that relate to sewing and sewing tutorials already. On YouTube, of course, as well. So we can tap into those as, influencers, so to speak. But I think creating our own, content as a lead gen strategy would be a part of it as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Let's take a question from Mike.
Thank you. Can you talk a little bit more about your go-to-market strategy and what sort of costs are going to be involved?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think with us, the first part of the market strategy is, getting out a machine that, implements these features that I spoke about, and developing that feedback loop with our customers. Our customers are really the core of Tobii, and we're improving the machine for them. And again, other sewing machine companies have not really recognized this market and this new generation of consumers. So really establishing that feedback loop in terms of how we design the product is number one for me. And then creating that, lead generation content, putting out our own content there as, how to, upcycle XYZ or whatever, things like that, and working with those other creators for brand awareness as well too. That will be a big part of it. And then, of course, as a direct-to-consumer business, we'll be relying on social advertising, search advertising, general players as well too, to convert our customers going forward.
Thank you.
So we have time for one more question. Let's take a question from Zule.
Yeah, hi. Have you currently reached out to certain influencers? Like, how easy do you think it would be for you to tap into the content creators, since that seems to be a pretty big part of how your market strategy?
That's a great question. So actually, as to how I got to all of these features that are a big part of this core redesign machine, or I reached out to people who, sell reworked creations on, Depop and Instagram, and individually messaged them and, asked them to take the survey and provide feedback. Got tons of responses that way. I think people were really, excited to see kind of welcome changes in this industry, especially. And, I work in, marketing, and I feel very comfortable with, working with influencers and so forth, and working with them to produce content as well too. I don't necessarily see that as a barrier at all.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Great, thank you all, to the judges and to all of the teams who pitched. So now the judges are going to go into deliberation. We'll move you to a separate breakout room. All of the attendees, we are going to go into breakout rooms now for a networking session.
Lauren, I have a pop-up. It came up a while ago that Al was inviting me to join the semi-final judges. Is that where we're going right now?
Yes, that sounds, correct me if I'm wrong, Al, but it sounds like Mike should be going into that breakout room.
Yeah, no, that is correct. So we'll have a networking break now. We're switching our program around. And of course, since this is entrepreneurship, adopting on the fly. So we're going to take our little networking break now. The social impact round will start at 1:15, and then we'll go right from that into the second half of the semi-finalists, take a break, and then finish up the day. So we will do our best to try to get back on track. But yeah, Mike, and the semi-final judges, you guys can go to your breakout rooms, and the social impact judges, you can go to those rooms. But let's all reconvene here at 1:15.
Thank you, Kayla. So welcome back. First, I'd like to introduce the social impact judges. We have Lerzan Aksoy, Dean at the Gabelli School of Business, familiar to many on this call, I'm sure. Desmond Lewis, Josh Futterman, Jim Callie, and Steve Dickinson. We have 4 great teams who will be part of this round. This round is a bit different in that they will be judged entirely on social impact, how much of an impact they can make, how big of a problem that they can solve, and how well equipped the team in particular is to solve the problem that they're addressing. The first up, we have Fit University, and then Healing Intentions. Next up after Healing Intentions will be NYC Hospital-Based Violence Intervention. And then lastly, we'll have Trezor Exchange. So looking forward to hearing the pitches from the social impact teams. Let's kick off with Fit University.
And before we do, Dean Aksoy, I know you wanted to say a few words, so I just wanted to give you the opportunity to do that.
Oh, thanks so much, Al and Lauren. Yeah, I'm Lerzan Aksoy, Associate Dean of Undergraduate Studies and Strategic Initiatives, and professor here at the Gabelli School. And I want to extend a very warm welcome to everyone here, our competing teams, our judges, and everyone who's listening in. This is definitely one of the events I look forward to every year. And I know it's a lot of work to pull together. So I just wanted to say a big thank you to the Fordham Foundry team, and a very special thank you to our judges who have agreed to be part of the Pitch Challenge. We actually have a total of about 25 judges who have been with us yesterday and are here today. And many of them happen to be Fordham alums. So I want to give a special shout out to our alums who are judging today. John Murphy, Mike Dorley, Josh Futterman, and Steve Dickinson. So thank you for being here. I'm excited to move to the social impact round. So good luck, everyone.
Thank you, Dean Exoy. So let's move on to Fit University. We have 4 great teams here today, and I'm really excited for you to hear from each of them. Fit University team, you can all share your screen. I know there are 3 members of the team, so unmute yourselves as needed, and whoever's sharing their screen can begin. Okay, while we wait for Fit University, let's move to Healing Intentions. You can begin.
No, actually, the issue is that they are still in
They're still
their
in the breakout
waiting
room.
room.
Oh,
Right.
good.
So
Here they are.
I'm bringing them back now. So just hang on one second.
Thank you. I knew Fit University is always very on top of things.
And there's Dan.
Great. And now we don't have to throw someone who's expecting to go second into first. So thank you everyone for waiting. Okay, so Antonio, you can begin sharing your screen if it will be you sharing.
Yes, ma'am. I'll get that shared. Give me one moment.
And then as soon as you're ready, you can get started.
Okay, hey Jess, let me hear your voice. I just want to make sure you're there.
I'm here.
Yay. All right, all right, all right. Okay, give me 1 second. Hello, everyone. My name is Antonio Pullen. I'm the co-founder of Fit University, and this is my beautiful family. This is me in the middle with the ATL shirt on with the hat to the back. And if you scratch the surface just a little bit, you'll discover there are some problems there. Mentally, I have suffered from depression, bipolar moves. My family have suffered from obesity and just being broke in general, not having funds to be able to take care of one another. So I decided that the best for me is to become a certified personal trainer and group fitness instructor, and also with my brother.
Marquise Pullen, I am a certified life coach.
And I'm Jessica Rizzo, licensed clinical social worker and director of clinical services for Fit University. So in the spirit of not boring you with figures, right here we have some visuals that reflect the disparities in wellness barriers in our community as it pertains to obesity, poverty, and by cultural groups. It also depicts the access to mental health care services by these communities. So this is where Fit University comes into the picture to bridge these gaps.
And how we bridge the gap is those problems that we just discussed. We came up with an idea, which is the Healthy Living Challenge. And what the Healthy Living Challenge is basically a virtual community on a digital platform. And you can see our app here. And these are our beautiful community members there, man. They're so awesome. Shout out to each one of you guys. But we have a philosophy, the holistic wellness of an individual. We want to help them with their physical health, mental health, and financial health. And how we do that, we have certified trainers, counselors that we're there to answer any questions they may have. We have 2 to 3 live weekly workout sessions where it's led by myself and other trainers. And then also if they need any extended help outside of that via our app, they can sign up with our clinical services or our financial advisors. So the journey so far, we currently have 20 members, which roughly $1,000. And we have a partnership platform where we partner with GAIAM, TRX, and also outside independent contractors, just in case it's something that we can provide for our members. And also we have merchandise. As you can see here, we all are rocking the Fit University gear. And with that being said, within 5 years, On the trend that we're at right now, we could possibly have roughly 2,400 members, which would entail come up to the amount of $1.4+ million.
And this goal is reachable. When you look at the holistic health industry pouring out $264 billion within this segment, 62 million of fitness personnel, they desire to tap into what we're giving them. And our market, the multi-generational families, ages between 16 and 63, only need a smartphone to get the benefits that we offer. And look at our competitors. Our competitors, there are some things that are lacking. We offer competitive pricing, virtual platform, the mental health, financial health, and physical health in our community.
So a little bit of self-disclosure on my end, right? As a mental health care provider, entrepreneur, and custodial parent of a 3-year-old, COVID led me to the process of recognizing the importance of breaking these generational traumas and patterns that did not align with the future legacy that I want to leave for my family. So as a student, I was ready for a shift, and that's where Fit University came in. So today, my mother and my daughter participate as well in the 3 times a week workout sessions. And as a team of bilingual professionals, we're here to pay this healing forward to the diverse members of our community. So thank you for your time and interest, and let us know what your questions are.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I'd like to kick off with a question from Dean Lerzan Axoy.
Thank you for that presentation. Really well done. I was wondering if in the platform, what do you see as sort of the target market for your group? Like, what does the size look like? And then is it something that is modular, or do you have to take all 3 of those together to subscribe?
Okay. Oh, great question. So initially, we just kind of walk you through the process. We'll have an assessment up front to assess, first off, is their fitness and their nutrition. And we also kind of assess just the mental state, and also just if they're interested in financial literacy. So from that portion, they immediately go into our community, where the model size is 20 members per 1 coach. And I love that aspect, because at the end of the day, I do it for the last 3 months. I've been doing it, and it's based on my schedule for the most part, because we teach individuals how to kind of do it on their own, but we also meet 2 to 3 times a week. So again, 20 per 1. And what was the other portion of that she has?
And the scale population for our target market. So the scale population, when you look at the 62 million fitness personnel, it's scaled down to that multi-generational family that has access. And right now, what we're looking at across the board is between those ages 16 to 63. However, that number dwindles down somewhere in between 118 million.
I think the other part of your question was whether or not members have to come in and take on all 3 layers of the services that we're providing. And the answer to that is no. We offer it as the one-stop shop, and our services are there. However, of course, self-determination, right? So if you identify that there's something that you need to work on, absolutely, we will at that point, pass that on to the assessment of our financial advisors, or myself as a director of clinical services, to assess the direction in which that individual wants to go in the care of, the services, the mental health services that they want to receive.
Thank you all. Moving on to the next question from Jim Kelly, who's a general partner at Next Gen in Nutrition Investment Partners.
Yeah, hi guys, great presentation, and great focus, love it. Can you just describe again a little bit on just the financial model, what members need to pay when they come in, and just how that works to your projections going forward?
So currently, I'll just take you back to our first challenge. Our first challenge, we had 5 members, and each member paid $50. And how we do it, I just kind of give you a little insight behind it. We have a scoring system so that each different activity gets a certain amount of points. And we also kind of give out like rewards and everything at the end of the month. But $50 per member, and then it doubled to 10, which is still continue to be $50. So to answer your question, it's only $50 to get started. But if you need any extended help outside of that, that's where me as a personal trainer, if our live sessions aren't just enough for you, during your consultation, I basically draw out a blueprint of what you need to do, what type of activity you need to do, and what type of nutrition, as far as like calorie intake, calorie out. And I know you understand this, but we give them the blueprint up front. And if they can't do it on their own, then they can pull me to the side as their coach and say, hey, I love some one-on-one services. And then that's where we'll kind of discuss the second business model as far as one-on-one training.
Okay, understand. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take one more question from Josh Futterman, Managing General Partner at Papa Bear Ventures.
So I think what you're doing is absolutely fantastic. Much needed. I love the fact that you're taking a holistic approach to things. I think they all go together. I grew up here in the city. I live in Harlem. I've been volunteering with underserved communities since I was a kid. So it's so important. But the question that I have for you is, how are you going to go about doing your member recruitment? How do you scale this? And do you see this as potentially being a franchise model that can be expanded across the country?
Absolutely. So I'll start and I'll let my brother finish because he's phenomenal with these type of questions. Thank you so much. Oh man, thank all of you guys. But man, go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so absolutely, franchising has been on our minds and hearts for quite some time. But taking the opportunity to look at this model and being able to reinforce these holistic approach, we want to continue to build this infrastructure within. I'm not sure if that answered your question.
So
yeah, no.
So the way, if I may just
go ahead, Jess.
If I may just piggyback a little bit. So the way, Mr. Futterman, the way our numbers have grown, right? We are finding that challengers are staying for the teams that are coming in after and after. So we went from 5 members to 10 members to now 20 members. And the 20 members that we have joining now are asking about how we can get their friends in for the next challenge. So it's been primarily word of mouth. Our team also posts videos, snippets of our workout sessions into our Facebook page, into our website, into our Instagram page. And the interest is just coming in because family members, I came in on my own, then my mom came in. Now she has like 3 friends who want to come in because it really does become a family. We are holding each other accountable by posting pictures of our meals pretty much all day long. And for example, yesterday, what do we want to do on a Friday afternoon after we were just sitting in front of a computer all day? It used to be happy hour. Some of us were at the track posting videos of just getting some fresh air and walking. So that is how our numbers are growing, just because the connection that we're providing as a community to those of us who have those goals are just getting healthier overall. So as the numbers that were projected earlier by Marquise, they speak for themselves, and that we're not really, going out there to get first. The experience is reeling in our community.
Thank you, Jess. With that, we are going to have to move on to the next team. Antonio, Marquise, Jess, great presentation. And now it's time for healing intentions. So healing intentions, you can begin sharing your screen and begin presenting as soon as you're ready. Thanks, Jennifer.
Just 1 second. Okay, hi, my name's Jen and my company is Healing Intentions. The problem that I aim to solve is stress. In the last year with COVID-19, people have been in isolation and also quarantine. It has significantly impacted their mental health, physical health, and also relationships. Stress is a public health issue. Stress is a killer. Chronic stress is linked to 6 leading causes of death and also heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, anxiety disorder, and suicide. Stress is at an all-time high, especially now with a worldwide pandemic, and it impacts people's quality of life. That's where I come in. The solution is integrative medicine, combining the mind, body, and spirit, combining relaxation techniques, stress reduction, mindfulness, alternative medicine, and also wellness services. This is a snapshot of some of the programs that I offer: Reiki, meditation, wellness services, and also a Reiki training. I'm a certified Reiki master teacher. I'm certified in mindfulness-based stress reduction and also mind-guided meditation. I'm a licensed social worker, and I graduated from Fordham with my master's in social work and a master's in nonprofit leadership. I currently use the Thumbtack platform to get all of my clients. And on that platform, there are other providers that are doing similar work, but really what makes Healing Intentions stand out is that I'm considered a top pro on that platform. I have exceptional reviews. My prices are affordable. I also offer charity for people that just can't seem to get the money to pay for those services. And there's a huge demand right now with everything that's been going on. This is a snapshot of some of the clients that I've worked with. I've worked with well over 100 people in the last few months and have 75 five-star reviews. My clients come to me experiencing heartache due to losing their job or a family member with COVID-19 and just can't seem to face day-to-day stress. They come to me with these issues, and after leaving, they're so satisfied. I have repeat clients, family members, friends, and I just continue to grow my network. This is a snapshot of some of my financials and also the goals for the end of this year. I do this work part-time, and last year in 2020, I brought in $6,000, and in the first quarter, as of close of business yesterday, I had a little bit more than $5,500. I recently changed my prices from $55 a session to $75, and I've already been growing. So in the second quarter, I anticipate reaching about $8,000, and in the second half of the year, a little more than $18,000. I plan on selling products, building out the brand, and growing the network. I currently use the Thumbtack platform, but I would like to eventually move off and to create my own platform. This is a short-term goal of mine, and so people can come to this app and receive the services directly from me. Thank you. Oh, I think you're muted.
Thank you, Jen. We are going to move to the first question from Desmond Lewis, who's the Director and Global Sales Manager and EMEA Healthcare Subsector Head at Citigroup. So Desmond, if you want to kick it off.
Appreciate that. Very, very good presentation. Extremely relevant, I think, at the moment. And it seems like you've been having a lot of success. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Can you talk a bit about your expansion strategy, right? Because this is the type of business, obviously, that becomes very people heavy, right? When you have a number of clients and as you expand, I think the app is probably a good way for you to digitize, automate as much as you can in the short term. But as you scale this up, what's your sort of expansion strategy, your people strategy? How do you build the business from there? Your financials gave a little bit of insight. You talked about products and services, et cetera. But if you could talk a bit more, we can double click into that. That would be great.
Yeah, sure. So like I said, I offer Reiki training. So I've already taught 10 students to become Reiki practitioners themselves, which is really great. And, it's creating economic opportunities for them as well. And so eventually, as we grow, I can't possibly, be able to see the amount of people, but, really working with my students and then also the network of meditation instructors that are out there. I have worked with several different meditation instructors. So really bringing different professionals onto the platform is a way to kind of expand and really, give everybody an opportunity to grow with me.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Jen. Next up, Steve Dickinson, consultant and entrepreneur. Steve, you can ask away.
Sure. Hi. Yeah, great presentation. I was just curious if you could tell me a little bit more about what the Thumbtack platform kind of is. Is that its own app?
Yeah, it's a platform that people go on there to receive all different kind of services from like handyman or like if you need somebody to like clean your apartment. There's an alternative medicine, alternative healing section, which is where most of my services are. There's meditation instructors. It's kind of like a wide range of services. So people just go on there and kind of click what they're looking for. And then a bunch of professionals come up and it's really rated by like the top pros come up first and then the prices and there's just people's profiles. So, clients go on there and they kind of dig around and then, are able to set up consultation calls and then review profiles before they actually book anything.
Got it. So when you're doing like Reiki training, are your clients are you setting them up to a situation where they can create a profile on Thumbtack as well? And kind of to the last question, is your goal to kind of build a platform where you can provide training to people and then onboard them onto a platform that you run so that you can
yeah I think that's what I was thinking with the app that I shared about my Healing Intentions app. For the 10 students that I brought on so far, 2 of them have actually created their own Thumbtack platform. The other ones really wanted to do more like in-person healing and wellness centers close by. But the goal is, as I continue to do these trainings and certify, Reiki 1, 2, and also master teachers out there, I would like to incorporate them in the app as the business grows.
Got it. Thank you. Oh, and one more question. Is this purely kind of over the internet, or do you think once like restrictions loosen up?
Everything is virtually done. And I actually see the business continuing to stay virtual. I think really creating a telemedicine platform is how I see the business growing. And I think that there is a huge market for that. And there's definitely a potential for that.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Excellent job presenting and handling those questions. Now we will move on to NYC hospital-based violence intervention. Again, thank you, Jen.
Okay, good afternoon. My name is Daniel Lembo, and I'm a student in the Graduate School of Religion and Religious Education. I'm pursuing a career in hospital chaplaincy, which sort of brings us to the program I'm going to present. It's the New York City hospital-based violence intervention program, and I believe it can have a great social impact on our city. So homicide is a leading cause of death for Hispanic and Black males under the age of 45. But the downstream effects are perhaps at least as troubling. For every person killed with a gun, 5 people are injured in a non-fatal shooting, and 30 people are victimized. So what is a hospital-based violence intervention program? Basically, case managers identify vulnerable individuals who've been admitted due to violence. They guide those individuals to transitional services, job placement, housing, mental health, tattoo removal. And the goal is to break the cycle of retaliation, readmittance, recidivism. Why now? Just last month at the White House, a group of intervention specialists underscored President Biden's commitment to taking further steps to make our communities safer, including an expansion of community-driven interventions with a proven track record of success. Participants agreed to continue working together to advance policies that address this crisis and the root causes of gun violence. So there are grants available. Right now, though, I'll look at sort of another revenue model. 45% of injured victims readmit within 5 years. So here's a case study of San Francisco General Hospital when they started a violence intervention program. They started it in 2005. Case managers reduced readmission rates. And if you consider that the average cost of a non-fatal injury is about $25,000 and that most gunshot victims aren't insured, there's a real potential for cost savings. If just 3.5 injuries are prevented per year, it's a cost-effective program, and it actually turned out to save the hospital $500,000 a year. Looking in around New York City, there's King's Anti-Violence Initiative, Guns Down, Life Up, and Stand Up to Violence have some kind of hospital program. And there are some others that could provide transitional services. Where I really think the opportunity for growth in this field is sort of services that could work across different hospitals. And so that's kind of where we're at. I'd like to also give a shout out to my other team member, Carl Reitman, who helped with the presentation.
Excellent job, Daniel. Thank you. Josh, I'd like to start with you.
Sure. So yeah, no, I thought that was excellent as well. It really resonated with me, Daniel. And my question for you is, there are already these existing organizations here in the city that do have hospital programs. Is your goal to get them into a lot more hospitals, or do you have a new program that you're developing that you think could be more effective, and working together with them in partnership could have a big impact in the city?
Yeah, we're thinking about the latter. I identified those four. They're sort of nation programs. They've had their ups and downs. Like if you look there's very little sort of like, they announced they've opened, but social media presence sort of drops. There's other indications that some of the case managers have themselves had issues. So I think there's room for providing, especially because they're all within the New York health and hospital system. There could really be room for like maybe providing case managers that could work at the different hospitals, sort of a way of improving communication between these groups.
Okay. So how far along are you then in creating your process, and who are you working with to do it?
This is sort of just the beginning of the research. Like I said, I have my team member Carl and I have kind of been bouncing off ideas, and we've been sort of doing research, but really, it's just sort of in its most stages.
Thank you,
Josh. Dean Exoy, I'd like to move to a question from you next.
Thank you. Again, really great topic and issue to tackle. I had a question about sort of the people side of this. Given there are these organizations who, to Josh's point, already out there and who have this expertise, right, in being able to handle these types of cases. What would your sort of human resources look like on your end in terms of handling these issues and their expertise?
Yeah, I mean, I like I said, I don't want to discount the good work they've been doing, and I think it is crucial that, especially like there are people who've, that these case managers themselves have possibly experienced this kind of trauma, are somewhat familiar with the environment that it grows out of. So that's important. But I really think there's could be room for, like I said, there's these multiple competing nonprofits in different hospitals. I think there's a lot of potential for increasing the communication between these different organizations.
Thank you. And we have time for one more from Desmond.
Thank you. The great presentation, Daniel, in terms of the need. I'm pretty familiar with a few of the organizations you mentioned, Northwest Bronx being one of them. From what I understand, it's quite a sort of very capital heavy activity, meaning it takes a lot of funding to sort of organize the groups, do convenings, kind of get the grassroots elements moving. You talked a little bit about funding as in like government grants. Can you just talk a little bit more about how you, are you looking at philanthropic avenues of capital? So what are some of the sources of funding to get this up and running?
Yeah, government grant. I mean, and I think that could be the sort of the avenue that we could really, where perhaps our expertise might lie in grant writing and stuff. There's the Victims of Crime Act is a big bill that does give out federal funding. That's one avenue. And I just think right now, as I sort of said, I think the federal administration is really looking to go in this direction of sort of community-based interventions in place of law enforcement or other kind of hospital programs. So I think the funding is out there, and we could help gain access to that for these organizations.
Absolutely, I'd love to connect with you offline, because I know a couple of organizations in this space, and I think you're right. I think community-led, place-based solutions for this is definitely something the government's really focused on. So we should connect offline.
Awesome, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all. So now let's move on to the last team in the social impact round, Trezor Exchange.
Hello.
Hi, Rachel. So you can begin sharing your screen as soon as you're ready, and then we can get started.
Excellent. Okay. Hello, my name is Rachel Cerruti, founder of Trezor Exchange, and I'm excited to tell you about the fully sustainable B2C e-commerce clothing marketplace I'm creating. This is Trezor Exchange, currently a blog for upcycled clothing, which I'm familiar with as I've been a part of the sustainable fashion community in New York City for a few years. I started Trezor because I know there are many people like me who want to break away from the disastrous fast fashion cycle, but don't know how. Upcycling is how. It uses materials already in circulation to produce new and better clothing. These are all upcycled products from designers I've connected with and the materials they use. That vest is made from old army sleeping bags, and my blog currently features this Brooklyn-based designer who uses repurposed denim to create an entire collection. Upcycling has been deemed the future of fashion. The fashion industry is a leading contributor to air and water pollution, water waste, labor rights violations, and more. A lot of this is because we treat our clothing like a disposable good. 85% of clothing ends up in a landfill, which speeds up the greenhouse gas effect. We're made to believe that recycling and donating our clothes is a solution, but they're band-aids for this enormous problem as they lead to landfills. I lived in Uganda for 3 years as a Peace Corps volunteer and saw what we're donating. It's low quality and goes right to the trash. Upcycled clothing is the circular economy, keeping textiles out of landfills, truly turning trash into treasure, but it's difficult to find. Trezor has similar models to other e-commerce businesses, but only sells upcycled clothing. ThredUp is recycled clothing. Etsy and other marketplaces have upcycled clothing, but it gets lost in the crowd. Upcycled designers have their own websites, but they're not well known. Trezor Exchange will bring upcycled clothing to one place, and it can be easily leveraged to do so. Featuring designers on my blog is establishing my supply network. My blog posts and online content are educating and engaging potential customers who are females between 25 to 45, willing to spend more on a unique and sustainable product that they'll have for a long time. The blog and social media pages are building my online presence with an audience growth rate of 156% in the past month. Hosting, attending, and promoting events has led to partnerships, which are crucial for our sustainable supply chain. Trezor is connected with New York City brick and mortar stores and is an ambassador for a New York City sustainable fashion women's organization. I have the vision and resources to champion upcycled trend. I have a master's degree in focus on sustainable banking and finance. I worked at 2 startups, and my previous work as a nanny provides connections to top executives in fashion, business, and e-commerce. A local supply chain is crucial for our sustainable growth strategy. By connecting local designers to local consumers and not holding inventory, we can maintain low emissions, encouraging pickup and drop-off options instead of shipping. Replicating this model in different areas, but updating the platform to maintain local connections will allow us to grow consciously. In some Western Romance languages, Trezor means treasure. This is the platform for clothes that were once trash to be found as treasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Great job. Jim, I'd like to kick off with a question from you.
Super presentation, Rachel. It's a subject I'm really passionate about. We're actually investing in some companies now that are upcycling food. So great stuff. Can you talk a little bit about whether your enterprise is actually helping designers source the raw materials required to design clothes, or is it just beginning from designer out? Where does the process start?
We're going to start with just connecting the designer to consumers, but eventually I'd love to integrate the consumers donating their clothes to the designers and connecting them all in one place. But just right now, connected.
Okay, so right now is just connecting, and maybe if you can just talk a little bit about the supply or the number of designers you're actually able to bring onto the platform, because I'm not aware of the size of that.
Right, so I've been doing this blog for about 3 months. I have a couple dozen designers I'm connected with, about 15 in New York City alone, which, as I mentioned, is where I want to start. And I have a wait list for my blog for designers to be mentioned. So there's definitely people out there. Next week, I'm rolling out a upcycled in your area portion of my blog so people can figure out if I'm in Columbus, Ohio, where's my nearest upcycled clothing designer? If I'm in London, where is it?
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks, Rachel. So next up, I'd like Stephen, do you have any questions for Rachel?
Sure, yeah. I was curious to know if you could speak a little bit more about what the user experience would look like for a consumer. Is this something where the consumers are users of your blog that are interested in this in terms of this type of fashion, or is this something where you're able to kind of bring on new consumers via marketing? Just kind of like, what does it look like for the person who's looking to buy this or kind of stumble upon your site?
Yeah, so that's actually the main reason why I'm looking for funding is marketing. This is a behavior change, right? It's going from spending $10 on a couple of pieces of clothing to spending $100 on one piece you're going to have for a long time. So yes, there'll be people that will come from my blog who are already in sustainable fashion, but there's an education component that I'll get from marketing and some PR to bring people into a different mindset to buy upcycle clothing.
Right, and you mentioned not necessarily holding inventory. So just from, but also from like a consumer standpoint, how are they essentially shopping or purchasing? Are you kind of notifying when certain pieces drop, or designers communicating through your platform? What does that look like from their end?
Yeah, I think I want to take my inspiration from StockX, where there is kind of this drop culture, but drop culture is obviously detrimental to fashion industry. So I want to make it more sustainable. But yeah, definitely introducing new products. I would love to eventually work with designers to have special collections on my site to make it a little more exclusive.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. We have time for one more question. Josh, how about you jump in?
Great. Also, excellent presentation, Rachel. I do a lot of advising of startup founders on their presentations. You did a wonderful job. So my question for you is, you talked about having to change people's behavior, and that's always an extremely difficult thing. It's something that we as VCs, unless you just come up with something so unbelievable we can't pass on it, have a tendency to stay away from. So talk to me a little bit about how you intend to change people's mindsets, how you intend to market upcycling versus recycling.
Yeah, so I think it's twofold. It's upcycle versus recycles, in that, like I mentioned, there is this myth that I donate it, I'm fine, I don't have to worry about landfills and pollution and everything. But the market, the secondhand market, is shrinking. There's a rising middle class, and they're becoming more affluent in these developing countries we send them to, so they don't want our clothes. And additionally, the clothes that we send are low quality to begin with. So after they get shipped around the country, they get resold, upcycled, blah, 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 they're even less quality. Additionally, I think it's also the supply chain. People are sick of Amazon sending you a huge box with all this plastic for one piece of, for one thing you purchase. So maintaining that like local supply chain, I think will be helpful to change people's minds because they're looking for it.
Thank you, Rachel. So with that, we will conclude the social impact round. Great job to everyone who presented. We are going to move straight into the final 6 semi-finalists. So we'll say goodbye to the judges from this round. That they're going to head off into their own room and deliberate. And we're going to move into the last round of pitches. So our judges for this round will be Adrian Lotson, hearing officer for the City of New York, Brendan Andrews.
Could I jump in? No, we're going back to the semifinal judges, Lauren. That's all. So
Okay, we're going.
Matt and Zuli, right? So you're starting to read the names for the finalists, so that's okay.
I'm sorry. We've rearranged the deck chairs enough times that my doc needs updating. So we're moving back to the judges who you've met already: Zuli, Matt, Georgie Ann, Mike, and Jack. So they're all back. And now we have Cinesave, Nylon Beauty, Healing Intentions, Trezor, Ha-Bets, and Mommy Brain presenting in the last semifinal round. Thank you for catching my mistake, Al. I have to move to my next highlighted section in my script.
Should I share mine now?
Yeah, sorry. We can begin with the first name I just listed.
Hold on, Lauren, the judges still are in their breakout room, so I'm moving them back now.
Move them back. Okay.
Okay, they should all have returned to the magic of
Welcome.
cyberspace.
Welcome back to the judges. So first up, we have Cinesave.
Am I good? Can everybody see?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Ethan Manning, and I'm here to present Cinesave. Cinesave is an investment opportunity, not only because of the problems it solves, but also because of its novelty and being the first platform in the US market to successfully bring dynamic pricing to movie theaters. Cinesave was founded by a dedicated team with diverse studies and knowledge ranging across subjects. However, we all share the motivation to solve the critical issues within the film industry. The biggest of two being a decline in attendance in the long term and uneven representation among minority groups. Prior to COVID, we found that AMC Lincoln Square was only 13% full on average, meaning that 87% of seats were creating $0 of revenue in both ticket and concession sales. This emptiness is a problem because 63% of the people we surveyed said that a more filled theater led to a more enjoyable experience. And lastly, 70% of the people we surveyed said that their largest issue with theaters was the price of tickets. In regards to representation, we found that diverse films generally make less money at the box office. This is a problem of visibility, and these statistics create pushes for large production companies to avoid making diverse films. We feel that dynamic pricing can solve this by providing incentives to see these films, and it can also solve the problem of declining attendance through the use of the otherwise empty seat. Using machine learning algorithms, Cinesave is able to accurately predict the number of seats that will be left empty in a particular showing, and then provide discounts on seats that would have otherwise been revenueless. This is a unique process and is what allows Cinesave to occupy the low-cost, high-reward quadrant that the competition today has failed to breach. Furthermore, Cinesave is able to combine all of this into efficient and intuitive mobile and web applications as seen through these images. The apps are an integral part of our business and are constantly being updated and improved to ensure smooth usage for our customers. But what does it all cost? For the theater, there's a monthly service charge. This is not a flat rate, but instead a 50-cent per ticket charge that is paid at the end of each month. On the consumer end, there are two options. They could either pay $2 a month for premium, or they could pay a base fee of 50 cents for each ticket they buy. However, without premium, they will be subject to a one-ticket limit and miss out on other benefits. In terms of strategy, Cinesave has started a relationship with and hopes to launch at a local independent theater in Cranford, New Jersey. By producing strong results here, Cinesave then hopes to launch at two other theaters that are operated by the same owner in Montclair and Westfield, New Jersey. With these steps, Cinesave hopes to help local theaters with their post-COVID recovery. And with the help of your investment, Cinesave hopes to become the future of moviegoing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. Excellent job. Let's start with a question from Zule.
Great job, Ethan. Hi. Can you talk a little bit about how you plan to market to the potential moviegoers?
Yeah, so we have a few different outlets what we're considering. One thing that comes to our advantage is the idea that we're starting on this local standpoint of these local independent theaters. A lot of the theaters that we've been in contact with, including the ones I've mentioned, have strong social media presence within their own community. And so we hope to market through them, but we also are aiming to market also through social media. We're going to start our own social media profiles to make posts in order to reach out to potential customers. We're also considering physical advertisements within the theater. If we choose to launch, if we end up launching at a theater, we hope to have a physical advertisement within there so that when people come to the theater, they could take a look at that. And those are our main as of now. And we also feel that word of mouth is a huge proponent to us. And so we feel that if we build a successful launch within these tight-knit communities where the word of mouth will carry us pretty far.
Thank you, Ethan. Let's move to a question from Matt.
Hey, Ethan. How did you guys decide on your price points? Like you talk about the 50 cent per ticket, $2 a month. Like, can you tell me more about how you came to a $2 a month cost?
So that was from a few different reasons. One of which being we basically separated the market into these loyalty programs or these lump sum programs. The loyalty being the AMC Stubs A-list and the Cinemark Rewards Clubs, which are those higher priced at around $21 a month and $8 a month. And you know, the things such as Fandango, which are free to join at first, but you have to pay convenience fees. So that we, first of all, we wanted to put ourselves kind of in the middle of that range because we feel like we offer more than lump sum programs, but we also don't want to be as expensive as the lump sum programs, because we found that consumers tend to say that that leads to too much commitment from them and they don't like that as a cost. So we wanted to put ourselves in the middle of that range. And we also, when we conducted surveying, we asked people about the prices they would be willing to pay for such a service. And this was the $2 price point was the price that most people seemed comfortable paying, where we could get a solid part of the market.
Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you, Ethan. Next, we'll move on to the next presenter, Nylon Beauty.
Hi, everyone. Just one moment while I share my screen. Is my screen visible? Yes? Okay, perfect. All right, well, I'm Lana Wilson, the founder of Milan Beauty, a revolutionary brand designed to evolve your skincare. The brand was founded with the desire to bring an innovative solution to troublesome skin issues that affect hundreds of millions globally. We have created a curated selection of skincare items, including our premier product, the Miracle Mask, targeted to heal even the most aggressive breakouts while promoting confidence through clear skin. The issue is that 681.2 million people suffered from acne vulgaris globally in 2016, making acne the 8th most prevalent disease in the world. Acne just doesn't affect teens, but both men and women throughout their 20s and 30s. Available spot treatments and aggressive pharmaceuticals just aren't enough. The global skincare market will be worth over $189 billion by 2025, with acne treatments contributing $7.2 billion by 2027 and sheet mask consumption controlling $300 million by 2020 alone. Our solution to the problem is our curated skincare system, including the patent-pending Miracle Mask. The Miracle Mask is a specially formulated full coverage advanced healing facial mask designed to treat active breakouts, excess oil production, fine lines and wrinkling while healing scars, shrinking pores, and promoting the swift healing of acne scars. The Miracle Mask is formulated from highly absorbent material that extrudes excess oils, waste, and directly from the source of inflammation. The unique design of the Miracle Mask adheres directly to the skin contours, remaining in place for several hours or overnight to target all affected areas. This is an example of the Miracle Mask worn overnight, where we can clearly see the variance in areas where inflammation and breakouts were present in black. Aside from the Miracle Mask, Nylon offers several treatment options, including the Miracle Cell XL, alongside a curated selection of serums and washes. The competitive landscape for Nylon Beauty includes CosRx, Scarface, Zit Sticker, Hero Cosmetics, and the heavy hitter Band-Aid. This graph illustrates where our competitors rank in the external skincare treatment technology market. Most viable competitor technologies ranking at a higher price point without offering a full coverage skincare system or market their products directly towards the healing of cuts, giving Nylon a competitive advantage in the marketplace. Since the inception of the brand in 2020, Nylon has incorporated as a state-recognized entity, securing trademark registration, achieved the filing of a provisional patent for the Miracle Mask, completed the prototyping for the Miracle Mask, expanded the product offering, and secured retail accounts on both Amazon and Walmart Marketplace. In order to advance the mission of Nylon and to advance the development of the manufacturing and Miracle Mask, I trust the judges see our product worthy of investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Lana. Excellent job. I'd like to move first to a question from Georgie Ann.
A great presentation, Lana. My question is about the formulas that you're using. So are you patent pending everything? Are there only certain things that you're patent pending? And then like a secondary follow-up question is like, do you have any studios? So like, where are people getting these treatments that you mentioned? Like I think you said Cell XL and then the regular Cell, do they come to like a spa that you have? So, are you gonna patent everything? And like, where do they go to get the treatments?
Well, the patent is specifically for the Miracle Mask itself, so the full coverage solution. Also, the Miracle Mask Duo, which will be another iteration that covers both the top and lower hemisphere of the face. These will be available at retail marketplaces such as Amazon and Walmart for an introductory price of $25 per mask. The other items, such as the Miracle Cell, which are the largest scale surface patches, which can be placed anywhere on the face or body, are also available on offer on Amazon at present.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, a question from Jack, please.
A little more about market differentiation. I feel like there's got to be more competitors. This feels like a very crowded space. Could you just a little more information just about how your products, maybe distribution, different ways that you're going to differentiate yourself from the rest of the crowd?
Yes, of course. Well, the facial sheet mask industry, like you said, is saturated. However, the mask differentiates itself because it actually serves a purpose in healing the skin. Hence why I patented the actual item itself. Not as a design patent, such as like the cutout or the illustrative qualities, but it's made from a celluloid material that actually extrudes any inflamed secretions from the skin. So it removes, if you have like a massive breakout on your face, it'll actually sort of suction out what's underneath the skin through your pores. And then when you remove it, the healing process begins because all the inflamed areas are basically resurfaced. Beyond that, the outreach to the customer will predominantly be through either social media marketing campaigns or hopefully through brick and mortar stores. Currently on Range Me, seeking sort of contracts to test that out in the marketplace for walk-in sort of purchasing.
Awesome. Thank you. And great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lana. Next, we're going to move on to a presentation from Healing Intentions. And Jen, welcome back.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, hi, my name is Jen, and I'm here to present my company, Healing Intentions. The problem that I aim to solve is stress. In the last year with COVID-19, people have been in isolation and also quarantine, which has significantly impacted their mental health, physical health, and also relationships. Stress is a public health issue. Stress is a killer. Chronic stress is linked to 6 leading causes of death and health issues such as heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, anxiety disorders, and suicide. Stress is at an all-time high now, especially because of the worldwide pandemic, and it impacts people's quality of life. That's where I come in. My solution is integrative medicine, combining the mind, body, and spirit with relaxation techniques, stress reduction, alternative medicine, mindfulness, and wellness services. This is a snapshot of some of the programs that I offer, including Reiki, meditation, wellness services, and also a Reiki training. I'm a certified Reiki master teacher. I'm certified in mindfulness-based stress reduction and mind-guided meditation. I'm a licensed social worker, and I graduated from Fordham with my master's in social work and also a master's in nonprofit leadership. I currently use the Thumbtack platform to get all of my clients, and there are other professionals on that platform. But what really makes Healing Intentions stand out is that I'm considered a top pro on that platform. I have exceptional reviews, my prices are affordable, and I also offer charity to clients that just can't seem to pay for the services. There is a huge demand right now, so these services are needed more than ever. I've worked with well over 100 clients in the last few months. I do this work part-time, and I have over 75 5-star reviews. This is just a snapshot of some of my client reviews. My clients come to me sharing that they're extremely stressed out, they've lost their job with COVID, they feel so isolated, and after working with me, they walk away feeling rejuvenated, relaxed, and noticing a definite significance in their stress reduction. This is a snapshot of my financials and also the goals for the rest of this year. Last year, I brought in $6,000, and in the first quarter, as of close of business yesterday, I brought in a little bit more than $5,500. So I've kind of been experimenting with the prices. I was doing $55 an hour and now I'm doing 75. So with this increase, I see the profits growing to about 8,000 in the second quarter. And then in the second half up to 18,000. I plan on selling products, building out the brand, and also growing the network. I currently use the Thumbtack platform, but I would like to move away and then eventually start my own app, Healing Intentions Online, where people can come to me directly instead of going to the Thumbtack platform. This is one of my short-term goals and something that I do anticipate rolling out. Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Excellent job. Mike, I'd like to kick off with a question from you.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit about how you deliver your service? I mean, somebody goes on Thumbtack or a platform, what do they get or what do they see?
Yeah, sure. So someone would, let's say, type in alternative medicine or healing, a bunch of different practitioners will come up, and then it's rated by like top pros who has more reviews. So again, I'm considered a top pro on that platform. So someone would reach out and they would message me, and if they want to set up a session, we kind of direct message. After that, everything's kind of in my ballpark, so I can set up a call with them. And then if we're ready to book a session, I do all of my sessions virtually right now. So we can either do FaceTime or Zoom, which is where I do most of my sessions. So that's how I work with the clients.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. Next, let's go to a question from Zule.
Thanks, Jen. So if you think about the growth of your business, how, you can't multiply you yourself, right? How are you thinking about potentially growing it so that you could serve all your additional customers?
Yeah, sure. As I mentioned, I offer Reiki training. So I've already taught 10 students so far to be certified in Reiki 1 and 2. So I plan on bringing my students onto the platform as well, so that, whatever clients that I can't see, for Reiki, they would be able to either provide the one-on-one service or even become teachers and teach the certification that I've developed. And then for the meditation, I've worked with plenty of different meditation instructors. I have a network already. So bringing, different practitioners onto the platform. So that's how I plan.
Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Zule. So next we will move into a presentation from Trezor Exchange. Welcome back, Rachel.
Hello. Alrighty. All right. Hello, my name is Rachel Cerruti, founder of Trezor Exchange, and I'm excited to tell you about the fully sustainable B2C e-commerce marketplace I'm creating. This is Trezor Exchange, currently a blog for upcycled clothing, which I'm familiar with as I've been a part of the sustainable fashion community in New York City for the past few years. I started Trezor because I know there are many people like me who want to break away from the disastrous fast fashion cycle but don't know how. Upcycling is how. It uses materials already in circulation to produce new and better clothing. These are all upcycled products from designers I've connected with and the materials they used. That vest is made from an old army sleeping bag, and my blog currently features this Brooklyn-based designer who uses repurposed denim to create an entire collection. Upcycling has been deemed the future of fashion. The fashion industry is a leading contributor to air and water pollution, water waste, labor rights violations, and more. A lot of this is because we treat our clothing like a disposable good. 85% of clothing ends up in a landfill, which speeds up the greenhouse gas effect. And we're made to believe that recycling and donating our clothes is a solution, but they're band-aids for this enormous problem, as they also lead to landfills. I lived in Uganda for 3 years as a Peace Corps volunteer, and I saw what we're donating. It's low quality and goes right into the trash. Upcycled clothing is the circular economy, keeping textiles out of landfills, truly turning trash into treasure, but it's hard to find. Trezor has a similar model to other e-commerce businesses, but only sells upcycled clothing. ThredUp is recycled clothing. Etsy and other marketplaces have upcycled clothing, but it gets lost in the crowd. And upcycled designers have their own websites, but they're not well known. Trezor Exchange will bring upcycled clothing to one place. And it can be easily leveraged to do so. Featuring designers on my blog is establishing my supply network. My blog posts and online content are educating and engaging potential customers who are females between 25 to 45, willing to spend more on a unique and sustainable product that they'll have for a long time. The blog and social media pages are building my online presence with an audience growth rate of 156% in the past month. Hosting, attending, and promoting events has led to partnerships, which are crucial for our sustainable supply chain. Trezor is connected with New York City brick and mortar stores and is an ambassador for a New York City sustainable fashion women's group. I have the vision and resources to champion the upcycle trend. I have a master's degree focused on sustainable banking and finance. I worked at 2 startups, and my previous work as a nanny provides connections to top executives in fashion, business, and e-commerce. A local supply chain is crucial for our sustainable growth strategy. By connecting local designers to local consumers and not holding inventory, we can maintain low emissions, encouraging pickup and drop-off options instead of shipping. Replicating this model in different areas, but updating the platform to maintain local connections will allow us to grow consciously. In some Western Romance languages, Trezor means treasure. This is the platform for clothes that were once trash to be found as treasure. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. Jack, I'd like to kick off with a question from you.
Absolutely. I love it. I mean, I'm incredibly passionate about sustainability, and I'm always looking at solutions in this space. Competition, that's really the only thing I'm looking at the issue here. I mean, ThredUp just went public. You have so many different outlets for people to buy upcycled clothing. Could you give me a little more detail about really, I mean, the complications of piercing through the noise of the industry?
Yeah, so I think, can I go back to my slide on that competition? Is that possible? Let me do that.
Yeah, you can pull it up.
Thank you. I appreciate that really quick. Because that is a question a lot of people ask too. Oh geez, how do I do this? It is, this one. So, right, so ThredUp, Depop, all of those are recycled clothing. ThredUp has hinted at having an upcycled component to their brand, but they don't. And these other, eBay, Patagonia, Made Trade, they have upcycled clothing, but it just gets lost in the crowd. I think I put Rebag and their Real up here because they're good examples of how specialized niche consolidated markets can thrive. So I think it's a matter of differentiating recycle from upcycling and proving that upcycling is, if you're going to purchase clothing, the most sustainable option.
Okay.
Thank
All right,
you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jack. Next, Georgie Ann, do you have any questions for Rachel? I'm sure you do.
Yeah, thank you. So my question stems around like, what type of education are you gonna, implement to let people know the difference between recycle and upcycle? Because I'm still wrapping my head around it. It's, it feels like, there's thrifting and then like transforming. So is it just when you transform it that it becomes upcycle? Like how are you letting like the mass market know, or are you really just targeting people that are already in the industry that are aware of this, how it works, how to do it, and the benefits?
Yeah, so through my blog, I've found that education is crucial to gaining customers. And I think the main way to do that is myth busting and a good marketing plan, right? So we all think, and I was a part of this too, that donating and recycling our clothing solves the problem. But it really, like I said, they're just pit stops almost on the way to a landfill. And not even, and most of the time they go to developing countries' landfills because that's where the donations go eventually. And so we're essentially treating the global south as a landfill. So I think educating people on the reality of what donating and recycling, although great, what they actually inevitably do for the environment and for landfills.
Thanks, Rachel. We have time for one more from Matt.
Hey there. So how do you see the business evolving? Do you think that the marketplace is going to be the killer feature here, or do you think kind of the blog and editorial angles are going to set you over? Because today, I mean, content is king, and I think you can make great businesses around either.
I appreciate that. I do think that the marketplace will take off because, as I mentioned, upcycling is the future of fashion, and people are starting to seek it out once they learn what it is. Having said that, back to the question Georgie asked about educating, to get more customers, we have to educate more people, the general public. So I think the marketplace will feed off of the blog. And I also would love to incorporate some type of membership and kind of community around people in the marketplace too.
Cool.
Thank you,
Nice work.
Rachel. So next we are going to move on to Bets. You can pull your
Thank you.
slides up and get started when you're
Yep.
ready.
Perfect. Please let me know when you can see my screen.
Yes. Looks
Okay.
good.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Juan Villafrade, and I'll be presenting Habits. Habits is an online platform that has the objective to provide a better food security for low and medium income Colombian families. What drives us? On average, a Colombian household spends around 15.9% of their income on food and non-alcoholic beverages. But how representative is this number? Well, we see in fact that 1 CBA, which is the minimum food needed per person to satisfy nutritional needs, costs around 28% of the minimum wage. 2 or less minimum wages are earned by 51% of the population, and 3 family members is the average household size in Colombia. If we were to do a simple scenario analysis, we would see that a family of 3 earning 1 minimum wage would have to invest 85% of their income to satisfy that CBA. Of course, this is a very extreme scenario, but it raises the question, what's the nutritional situation in Colombia? Well, 54.2% of the households struggle in meeting basic food needs, and 6 in every 10 households led by women face this struggle. There are several reasons that determine poverty lines in Colombia, but in general, it's shocking to know that a child needs, on average, 11 generations to exit poverty. And we think this is because of the deterioration of the human capital. Now, what would we like to do about it? Our collaborative economy business model creates allocation efficiency. How? Our idea is to offer a standardized list of products to a household population to create a budget pool. This budget pool translates into a market power that we can go ahead and sell. At this point, we would approach a wholesaler population and create a closed envelope auction process in which we will reveal how many pounds of certain product we need, and they would place bids. This process creates a downward pressure on the prices of the already discounted goods and lets us achieve a more flexible margin that we can go ahead and transfer to both our families and our revenues. We then strive to allocate resources based on the budget of the families to meet that CBA. How's the competitive scope looking like? We identified 3 major clusters: the apps, the large supermarket, and the low price cluster. We see ourselves as a hard discounter offering low prices with a high e-commerce presence. But not only that, our value proposition is to be consumer-oriented and proactive, target low to medium income Colombian families with the objective of providing them with food security, having flexible margin, lower retail allowance, and the cherry on top, little to no real estate and little to no inventories. Where do we see ourselves in the future? We're very excited to transform our business model to incorporate farmers, tenderos, which are small neighborhood shops, and provide them with better practices to create economies of scale, alongside the implementation of blockchain technology to reduce transactional costs and increase our timing efficiency. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Juan. Let's start with a question from Mike.
First of all, a good presentation and probably something very worthwhile doing. Where are you on your go-to-market strategy?
Sorry, you mean how are we going to reach out to the houses, or how are we going to sell the product? Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen again real quick. Our idea is to have 3 different partners. That'll be the government, so target the IT ministry project initiatives, because they are dedicated to invest on IT hardware for different families. So we want to leverage that opportunity. So partner with government, then partner with nonprofits, and there's different nonprofits like Techo para mi País, Rotaract, and other local leaders that have direct access to the families. So we want to partner with those, and then also leverage media to go ahead and expand our product.
So have you tested any of this yet?
No, this is an idea at this point. We've been working on it for only 3 months. So hopefully with some capital, if we achieve some capital from here, we will be able to create a beta model.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Next, I'd like Jack to jump in, given your experience in the food space.
Absolutely. Yeah, I find this fascinating, very complex, but I think my question would be around your really around the go-to-market strategy of where would you start first? What would be your MVP for this product? Just because again, it's very complex.
Right. Well, our idea is to start in two principal cities, which it would be Bogota and Cali. And again, we want to partner with these different institutions to go ahead and create this initial partnership with the families. What we're targeting in our initial demo is to have a partnership with 100 families, and then at that point, we think we will have enough market power to go ahead and start contacting the wholesalers. It's all about selling this product to the families and convincing them that we will be able to provide them this groceries at a hard discount in order for them to go ahead and say, okay, we're willing to pay for this product.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. We have time for one more question. Matt, I'd like to give this one to you.
Sure. I just want to understand. So you guys are using computers donated by the government, getting local families to get online and start to use kind of group buying power to lower the cost of kind of everyday groceries throughout Colombia?
Correct.
Got it. What do you think that the adoption time is going to be for that family that doesn't have internet access or doesn't have computers? What's that adoption time to get them all the way through to kind of transacting online? And are there any special blockers of having credit cards that can be used and things like that? What are those other kind of issues? And I'm going to deal with my dog over here while you answer.
It's okay. Yeah. So in terms of the technology barriers, we come in as well to educate them on how to use the platform. But also one of the primary issues in Colombia is that there's not a lot of access in terms of financing, especially like to the financial market, especially lower to medium income families. So we will have a hybrid model in which they would be able to pay in cash, but also by credit cards. And that's where the tenderos come in, because they're going to be a strategic partner as distribution points. So we want to leverage around 266,000 tenderos that are across the country to use them as distribution points, but also, and that's why we say that we don't want to have, that we will have little to no real estate, is because we want to create a partnership with tenderos for them to receive the cash. So it's going to be a hybrid model, but of course there is an educational component into it, because we need to also, help the people and the families navigate the IT technologies.
Cool. And I would say, regardless of how today goes and how Fordham goes and whatnot, I think that, getting venture capital involved, it may not be the right fit, right? They may not be the partner, but there are tremendous resources to tackle these problems at an NGO level. And also, I think that you should look in lots of different pockets for funding. I think this is a venture that you should see through. It sounds super fascinating, a big macro kind of e-com play, right? Solve big problem. But you shouldn't be stuck just on venture, because at the end of the day, you're trying to help people, and this isn't necessarily about being profitable. So,
yeah,
audit yourself, and as you kind of go down this journey, like, know that all businesses are not made for venture, and that's okay.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, and
sorry,
okay, that's fine.
Cut you off.
Right.
We have to move to the next team now in the interest of time. Mommy Brain. Ravel, if you want to start sharing your screen. I used up all of my words for today like a half hour ago.
Sure thing. Let me share. Okay, can we all see my screen? Yes, great. Hi, everyone. I'm Ravel Worthington, the CEO and founder of Mommy Brain. Mommy Brain is a digital education and mental wellness platform that provides women with perinatal resources, expert-led guidance, and a global community of mothers. Nearly 4 million women give birth in the US every year, and they're being failed when it comes to access to vital resources during pregnancy and postpartum, a period defined as perinatal. America has the highest maternal mortality rate for a developed nation, and 1 in 5 women struggles with anxiety or depression. Mommy Brain is democratizing maternal health, making it affordable and accessible. We're providing this critical support and resources to moms who need it the most. Mommy Brain is both web and mobile accessible. Our members on our free plan have access to a supportive community of moms, as well as exclusive expert guided content. Many in our community have asked for deeper support, and we're filling this need through our subscription membership, providing access to our growing perinatal resource library of informative videos and expert-backed guides, our specialized workshops and discussions providing guidance from our team of therapists, coaches, and parenting specialists, and our roundtables and virtual meetups providing space for moms to share and learn from each other. Mommy Brain sits at the intersection of mental wellness, perinatal education, and community. What really sets us apart is we're providing that expert guided support, and our members also have the peer-to-peer interaction. Both are critical to a new mom's mental and emotional wellness. Of the 4 million moms mentioned earlier, our target member is a new millennial mom, of which there are 1.2 million a year. But more than that, she's struggling with either anxiety or depression, is burnt out, and wants to get that mental health help, but she can't afford the one-to-one support. Mommy Brain has a collective community of over 50,000. Within the platform itself, there are over 1,000 members who are on the free plan, with a 48% retention rate of members who returned from the previous 30 days. We're piloting our beta subscription membership in May with a goal of launching with 100 founding members. Our 3 main revenue streams include the subscription membership, brand integrations, and corporate partnerships. An exciting partnership that we kicked off this month was our pilot workshop for Netflix that had 100 people in attendance. We're currently talking about creating a series of workshops for their parent employee resource group. This grant will provide the needed funds to scale and grow Mommy Brain, with half of the funds going towards expanding our programming and the other half towards marketing and business development. An investment in Mommy Brain is an investment in our women-led team, most of whom are Fordham graduates. It's an investment in women working in the maternal health space, and it's an investment in mothers, the backbone of our communities. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ravel. Excellent job. I'd like to kick off with a question from Zulay.
Thank you, and great job, Ravel.
Thank you.
Yeah, and congrats. I saw the 50,000 Instagram followers, so no small.
Thank you.
Do you want to just maybe clarify for me, what's the growth model for your subscription? Are you thinking that it will be in your 4 quadrants, that it'll be more towards the membership? And then if so, how are you thinking of being different from the peanuts and I forget the other one, but the 2 big.
Right. Right. So our growth model is for the subscription membership, acquiring those members. And what really sets us apart is that not only are we bringing together moms within to this community that can share, their lived experiences going through similar things, they also have that connection to our therapists, parenting specialists, and coaches. And the third part is the diversity. We've been really intentional in the diversity of not only our experts, but also the mothers within our community. It's so important to be able to see yourself reflected back in the person who's giving you this guidance, and in the moms and the women that you're talking with, right? I've been, the only Black mom in the room so many times, and it's hard when you're sharing something you don't feel like you can relate. So that diversity is is one of the key components that's setting us apart.
Got it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ravel. Thanks, Zulay. Next, I'd like to hear from Georgie Ann.
Yeah, thank you so much for the presentation, Ravel. My question was around what you guys are using for the community. Did you guys build like a custom solution, or are you using something that's already existing? And how do you envision it as you continue to grow and get more, specifically with the paid memberships?
That's a great question. We're actually using something that's already built. We built the platform on Mighty Networks, and it's been a really great tool because it allows you to customize to how like your wildest dreams. So for right now, it's been a great source and an affordable way to scale and grow because there's no limit to how many members we can have and the different features that can be applied within that platform. And once we get to a point where it makes sense to build out something custom that would meet those needs, then we'll tackle that then.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm very familiar with that platform. It's an amazing one.
It's great, right? And they're always bringing out new features too. So it's really wonderful.
Awesome.
Thank you. And we'll close out this round with a question from Mike.
What, if anything, did you learn from the 52% that didn't continue in the free trial?
Right. So something that we learned is how we're that first point of contact and how we're engaging with those members when they first come in. And, you know, part of this is people want to be seen and heard and know that there's somebody there that is going to be engaging with them. So I think part of that was, and a lot of these came from, you know, those first group of people, but having that engaging content, one, that they can interact with, but two, also how they're being communicated with outside of just not only the therapists and experts within the group, but also the moms as a whole. So just that learning of how are we engaging with them right off the bat and making sure there's no sort of hang time in between when someone, that was a learning we picked up like almost immediately, that hang time in between, you know, someone coming in and not making sure that they're getting that support.
Okay, thank you.
So thank you to all of our semi-finalists. Thank you to all of the judges. I really appreciate that you took the time to spend your Saturday hearing our students and alums pitch. Everyone put so much work into these presentations, and seeing them, you know, make the final pitches today was so fulfilling for me personally, and I'm sure for so many others in the room. Semi-finalists, you all did a great job, and whatever happens today, I hope you all continue running with your ideas. So next, before we move into breakout rooms, I just want to plug the PreVC app again. So we have this QR code up that you can scan. You'll download the PreVC app and log in. The process is super seamless. Our last pitch competition, when I wasn't talking the whole time, I had a lot of fun using the app. You'll get some kind of monopoly money of your own to download. There's, I think, like $10,000 that you can distribute in there, 10,000 fake dollars. Spend it like it's real. You don't have to give it all to one group. You can, say, divide it between 2 or 3 groups that you really like. And then whoever wins the most money in this round will win actual money, not the many tens of thousands of dollars that you all will give them, but there is a cash prize for winning the People's Choice Award through the PreVC app voting. And if anyone has questions on how PreVC works, just privately chat to me or any of the Foundry team members, and we can help you work through it. It is really fun. It feels like being a Shark Tank judge. So this round of breakout rooms we're about to go in will be random, but the breakout sessions following the final presentations will be a bit different. They are based on our affinity groups. So here at the Foundry, we have what's called affinity groups on Slack. Those are for people with similar interests to connect with each other in an informal way. We know that a huge part of what's valuable about being part of the Fordham community is making connections, but how do we do that in everyday life, especially right now when we're not going to events? There aren't, there was no holiday party in the cities that Fordham usually has holiday parties in this year. So anyway, this is a way of informally connecting with other alums and other students who are interested in the same things as you. It could be underrepresented founders, no code development. There's a very, well, our most active channel is probably the VC one, And we encourage you to join these breakout rooms based on your interests today. But then if you really enjoy the conversation or want to dig deeper with other members of the Fordham community, to join the Slack groups. We'll send out information in the email following today's event on how you can join the Slack groups.
Hey, Lauren,
Yes.
quick thing, the chat is disabled.
Oh, chat is disabled. Okay, so what you can do is email lsweeney@fordham.edu, and that will do it if you're running into problems with the Preview app. And I will keep an eye on my email inbox now.
And so we had a little technical issue with the breakout rooms, but they've now been restored. So if the semifinal judges could go to their breakout rooms and the final judges can do the same, you guys can deliberate and debate there. And we will be back with the results of the final four in probably about 15 minutes or so. So thank you all for coming, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, welcome back, everyone. I hope you are all able to make helpful connections in the breakout rooms. Hope you met some other students and alums, but the very least provided interesting conversation, but perhaps some business connections that could be useful to you all. So before we announce who will be in the next four, who made the final rounds, I'd like to share the affinity group names with you so you can change your name in Zoom to the affinity group you'd like to join. As you can see on this slide that we've pulled up here, you don't have to change your whole name. Just add CS to the beginning of your name on Zoom if you'd like to be added to the Conceptual Stage Founders list. CP if you'd like to join the Consumer Products Breakout Group. No Code Development, NCD, Sustainable Fashion, SF, Underrepresented Founders, UF, and Venture Capital, VC. So just add those initials to the beginning of your name on Zoom. To do that, just hover over your own face on Zoom, and then you'll be able to rename yourself. Run your Zoom settings. I guess everybody is logged in on different devices with different settings. So we'll leave this slide up for a few moments so you can consider which group you'd like to join and then add the initials of that group to the beginning of your Zoom name. And if you don't add one, we'll just randomly assign you, and hopefully you find yourself in the room you're meant to be in today. Maybe you'll learn you have an affinity for consumer stage or conceptual stage startups that you didn't know existed before today. Anyway, everyone will land where they're meant to. And again, I hope that the Zoom rooms you found yourselves in this last session were helpful. So without further ado, let's get to the finalists. So in the final round, we'll have Mommy Brain, Sjogren's Tracker, Noted, and Toby. They will be presenting in this order. Congratulations to all the finalists. You've made it this far. We've one more 3-minute pitch to go, and we'll find out who won the prizes for the day. Again, if you haven't downloaded the Preview app, please vote for your favorites in the Preview app. So before we begin the pitches for this round, I'd like to introduce the judges. This list of judges I was a little eager to announce earlier. So we have Adrian Lotzen, Hearing Officer for the City of New York, Brandon Andrews, co-founder at Gage, John Murphy, EVP and Chief Financial Officer at Adobe, Dennis Angie, Data Strategist and Operating Partner at TDF Ventures, and Jan Horn, founder of Give Beauty Wings.
And actually, I just wanted to share that unfortunately, Dennis had a family emergency literally in the past hour, and he's at the hospital with his daughter. She seems to be okay, but he won't make it. So there's going to be 4 final round judges. So just wanted to make sure that was clarified so that everybody was only expecting questions from the 4 judges.
Thanks, Al. So with the judges introduced, let's bring in Mommy Brain and Ravel. Welcome back, Ravel.
Hi, oops. Hi, everyone. Let me share my screen.
Yeah, and hang on a second, Ravel. Let us just get organized with the spotlight so everybody can see who's presenting and see who the judges are. So just bear with me. Okay. All right, I think everybody is now here, and Ravel, the stage is yours, and please share your slides whenever you're ready to go.
Great. Okay. Everyone see my slides? Great. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Ravel Worthington, the CEO and founder of Mommy Brain. Mommy Brain is a digital education and mental wellness platform that provides women with perinatal resources, expert-led guidance, and a global community of mothers. Nearly 4 million women give birth in the US every year, and they're being failed when it comes to access to vital resources during pregnancy and postpartum, a period defined as perinatal. America has the highest maternal mortality rate for a developed nation, and 1 in 5 women struggles with anxiety or depression. Mommy Brain is democratizing maternal health, making it affordable and accessible. We're providing this critical support and resources to moms who need it the most. Mommy Brain is both web and mobile accessible. Members on our free plan have access to a supportive community of moms, as well as exclusive expert-guided content. Many in our community have asked for deeper support, and we are filling this need through a subscription membership, providing access to our growing perinatal resource library of informative videos and expert-backed guides, our specialized workshops and discussions providing guidance from a team of therapists, coaches, and parenting specialists, and our roundtables and virtual meetups providing space for moms to share and learn from each other. Mommy Brain sits at the intersection of mental wellness, perinatal education, and community. What really sets us apart is that we're providing that expert-guided support, and members also have the peer-to-peer interactions. Both are critical to a new mom's mental and emotional wellness. Of the 4 million moms mentioned earlier, our target member is a new millennial mom, of which there are 1.2 million a year. But more than that, she also struggles with either anxiety or depression, is burnt out, and wants to get mental health help, but can't afford that one-to-one support. Mommy Brain has a collective community of over 50,000. Within the platform itself, there are over 1,000 members who are on the free plan, with a 48% retention rate of members who returned from the previous 30 days. We're currently piloting our beta subscription membership in May, with a goal of launching with 100 founding members. Our 3 main revenue streams include our subscription membership, brand integrations, and corporate partnerships. An exciting partnership we kicked off in March was a pilot workshop for Netflix that had an attendance of 100. We're currently talking about creating a series of workshops for their parent employee resource group. This grant will provide the needed funds to scale and grow Mommy Brain, with half the funds going towards expanding programming and the other half towards marketing and business development. An investment in Mommy Brain is an investment in this women-led team, most of whom are Fordham graduates. It's an investment in women working in the maternal health space, and it's an investment in mothers, the backbone of our communities. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ravel. I'd like to start with a question from Adrian.
Hi, Ravel. This is really, really fascinating, particularly around issues around, and I guess my question is kind of enveloped in this. There's a lot of talk around maternal morbidity. And how the United States doesn't do as well, quite frankly, as people would expect them to do when it comes to maternal outcomes in surviving childhood. Do you touch any of that? Does your community help in that regard, or is this only for those who successfully make it through that 6, 7, 8 week period?
No, it definitely provides that support, right? Because as I mentioned earlier, you're talking to your doctor in a pregnancy without complications. You're seeing him 15 times. After you have that baby, you don't go back until 6 weeks. And even then, the information and the discussions that's shared, I have 3 kids. It's so superficial. One, what is talked about, they don't talk. You fill out this really quick, brief survey. There's no in-depth look at what you're experiencing mentally, emotionally. And even then, a lot of moms are scared to have these discussions because one, there's the worry of, am I going to come off as if I'm competent to be a mom and take care of my child? This is something we really explore. We have developed a perinatal mood and anxiety disorder guide. And moms are able, they can access the guide within the community, but even more than that, every time we share any sort of content across social channels, we have over 50,000, they get a call to action that says, if you're struggling in these ways, please text PMAD to this number and you get access to that guide. And we worked on it with 2 different therapists and psychologists. One was a white woman and one was a Black woman, because I needed both of those experiences. There's so many things that you need, that lived experiences, things like generational impacts on like getting that mental health, what that looks like. So having both of those experiences inform what that guide looks like helps us really approach a larger audience base on the moms who need it. So they get information on what those different symptoms look like, commonly asked questions that they might be too scared to bring up and ask, a link that pushes them to be able to find mental health professionals within their area, as well as lists of coping skills that they can start applying right now. So that's how we have the first step of action we're taking with that. Our membership would take it a step further in that we would have these weekly discussions that within the PMAD space, offering moms, talking about what anxiety might look like. How is not holding your boundaries leading to increased feelings of, the depression or anxiety you might experience within your family? How do you talk about what support would look like for you specifically with your support team and get that help?
So quick follow-up, can you tell me with the different membership levels, how that would be different depending on whether you're a premium or entry level, et cetera?
Definitely. So the basic membership is $35 a month, and with the premium it's $65. But in that, it's the model is a buy one gift one. So your membership allows a mom who is experiencing financial difficulty to receive access to the basic membership. Both memberships give you access to both the PMAD discussions as well as the relationship discussions. And those relationship discussions are both, the changes you're experiencing within yourself, but also the changes with your family, your support team. A lot of, the number of moms live in multi-generational households. How are you interacting with your mom or your mother-in-law? So they get all of it's sort of a holistic way they're being supported, right? Both for their own mental and emotional wellness, but also the relationships with their partners, their family, their kids.
Thanks.
And sorry, I also wanted to add, we also have a doula support fund. So a percentage of each subscription or corporate partnership goes into this fund, and it provides underserved Black mothers, because Black moms are dying at a rate 3 times higher than any other race. And it provides them with doula support and at least 2 postpartum therapy sessions.
Thanks, Ravel. So one more question. I'd love to hear from Jian, if you want to.
I'm so glad you called on me, because I was like, I have questions, I have thoughts. So I'm interested. First of all, thank you for doing this. I think it's a wonderful idea. I have a couple of questions. One is, what are the mental health professionals that you are teaming up with? I'd love to know more about what that's.
The other one, I found the other bottle.
And then And then I was curious also if there's any COVID related support. You know, obviously in the last year, I think being a pregnant mother is even more stressful. And the last thing is more of a comment, which is there anything that you can provide for maybe mothers with disabilities? I would love to work with you on that. I'm not a mother, but I know a bunch of mothers with disabilities. And that's a group that just doesn't get talked about often. I know we're limited for time, so I put them all in there.
Well, all really good questions. For our therapists and coaches, parenting specialists, there's a process where, you know, they fill out an application, they tell us about the different certificates they have. There's checks that go into checking at vetting them, as well as from the license perspective to also, you know, looking for any sort of adverse media, like how are they presenting themselves, showing up socially, because that's important to us, right? You can't say you're for mothers and wanting to help without taking into account the social problems that are currently happening, right? Like the Black Lives Matter, stop the hate against Asian Americans. These are all really important things, and we need to make sure that the experts that we have on hand are aligned with our core values and understand that we serve a range of women within our community, and they're a diverse background, and they need to be seen and heard and know that you understand their lived experience, and they can come to you and receive support in a way that is beneficial to them and their families.
Thank you, Ravel. That was a great answer to the question. Excellent job today. You're done pitching for the day, I think, unless you have something planned for later. And now we will move to Shogun's tracker.
Well, thank you all so much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Can everyone see?
Yes. Welcome back, Ingrid.
Hi, thank you. Sorry, give me 1 second to set up the slides. Okay, hello everyone. My name is Ingrid Heath, the founder of Shogun's Tracker. I'm currently an MBA student at the Gabelli School of Business. About 10 years ago, I was actually studying law at Fordham Law School when I was suddenly hit with waves of fatigue and flu-like symptoms. I went to countless doctor's appointments over a period of 5 years before I was finally diagnosed with an autoimmune disorder called Sjogren's. That's when I found out that there was this whole class of autoimmune conditions, including arthritis, celiac, lupus, and Sjogren's, where the body's immune system essentially attacks its own cells, causing the person to feel sick. There are currently no cures, and patients are expected to manage their symptoms by keeping track of them on either a paper journal or worksheet like the one shown on the right here. There are 1 to 4 million people in the United States alone with Sjogren's syndrome, who will be my initial marketing target before I expand toward those with autoimmune conditions in general, which affect up to 24 million people in the United States. And those numbers are only expected to rise over time, as a recent study has suggested that the incidence of autoimmune diseases is increasing. The problem here is the need for autoimmune patients to track symptoms, medications, and other factors. Paper journals are time-consuming and inefficient, and there's no easy way to visualize the data written on paper. The solution is a digital app that allows users to customize, track daily, and visualize their data through graphics and statistics. Here's what the current product looks like in the App Store. You can create an account, customize factors, enter information daily, and then eventually graphics and statistics will display. The current business model is a freemium one where users can access standard features for free and can subscribe to premium features for about $2 a month. Premium features include numerical ratings and graphics for individual symptoms, as well as the ability to customize food groups. Based on early data from the past 2 months, we have a rough projection for future revenue. Essentially, if the app can reach around 500,000 users in the next 3 to 5 years, with an average of 5% users subscribing to premium, then we can reach an annual revenue of $500,000. The market adoption strategy will focus heavily on partnerships with organizations such as Sjogren's Foundation, social media marketing campaigns through Instagram and Facebook, as well as word of mouth through physicians, other users, and App Store reviews. In terms of the competitive landscape, there's a variety of generic to expensive symptom tracking apps. Sjogren's Tracker seeks to dominate the upper right quadrant where it will create a tailored experience for autoimmune patients at an affordable rate. And the current user feedbacks highlight the app as a one-stop solution that is customizable and easy to use. And finally, I will leave you with the app's potential to help millions affected by autoimmune disorders who also happen to predominantly be women. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid. I'd like to kick off with a question from Brandon.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ingrid. Thanks for sharing your story and congrats on what you've built so far. I often say to folks that are interested in building a business that you go through your life and find the points of friction or find the problems that you're encountering and come up with a solution to it. And that's probably going to be a good place for you to start when you're thinking about building something new. And you've definitely put that into practice here. I think building a community around an early stage business is incredibly important. To build a community, you have to know where they are and engage with them regularly. So would love to hear from you. How are you building the community around this app? I know you said there's 24 million folks that are suffering from these autoimmune diseases in the U.S. How are you tapping into that community? How are you engaging them, getting their feedback over time? And what's your strategy to connect with more of them? Because that's going to be critical, of course, to getting app downloads and users.
Yes, thank you. So I started off with Reddit subreddits on autoimmunity, but from there I went to Facebook, and I have an account that currently has around 3,000 followers. And now I'm also branched into Facebook, and I found that Facebook is actually a really great place to find users because there are a lot of Facebook groups dedicated to specific autoimmune disorders where members share resources and things that have been helpful for them. So these are the 3 social media avenues I'm using right now, but going forward, I also want to partner with not-for-profit organizations like Sjogren's Foundation. And these organizations also tend to publish on their websites support groups that are like regional by state that meet up and have their contact information. So next step for me is to reach out to not only these organizations, but also to support groups and people who organize the support groups to say, hey, I have something that might be helpful for your users and they could start off for free. Why don't you try it out and let me know if you have any feedback? And currently I've been getting feedback I've had them through Reddit, through Instagram and Facebook. And sometimes because I have a website with my email out there, sometimes users have directly emailed me with feedback and suggestions.
Yeah, I think that's great. Building that community and getting that feedback is going to ensure that you're building something that the community wants versus something that, you may think, you're obviously part of the community, but that doesn't mean that other people necessarily want what you want. One quick follow-up is, have you coalesced the content that you're posting, whether it's Facebook or Reddit or other places, into a thought leadership campaign for yourself? Because I think that being seen as a trusted resource in this space will be just as important as the actual product that you're building, being functional and being a good resource for the folks in the community. So have you done any thought leadership for yourself as well?
I don't think so. So I do have a blog as well. And what I'm thinking of for the blog is I want to start posting stories about scientific research updates relating to autoimmunity and Sjogren's in general. And that could be perhaps a way of organizing all my social media presence because I could then link them to specific blog posts. And people have liked some of the blog posts. So that's
Yeah, I definitely think it's a great start there. Would encourage you to do more there and make yourself and your company a center of gravity in this community, so that when people think about resources for folks that have autoimmune diseases, they're thinking about you first, in addition to some of those other bigger players that you said are out there. But again, a great job, and I'll pass it on to the next person.
Thank you, Brandon. Let's move on to a question.
Wait, before we do, I want to just touch on something Brandon said to encourage. I think it's really important you tell your personal story as well, not just the facts, because I know it's a new diagnosis for you, but in order for you to be a trusted, resource, they really need to know your story, and don't be afraid to get vulnerable, because that's really important. Okay, please continue. Thank you.
Thank you. John, if you have a question, we'll move to you, and then it will be time to hear from our next team.
You bet. Yeah, I'm curious, your go-to-market strategy, I really like building the community and expanding out from there. One thing that I see, particularly because I work for a large corporation, the different resources that employees are looking for healthcare knowledge that they're not getting out of the regular health plans that they may be a member of. Have you thought about partnering with the large medical groups to be an avenue for really good access to this type of information that may be just too niche for what they're providing broadly?
Actually, I have thought about it, but that I thought would be like a few years more down the line after I reached out to the non-for-profit organizations. Eventually, I thought I could partner with medical groups or doctors who like specialize, like rheumatologists who have a lot of autoimmune patients. Because part of it is that whenever you go to a rheumatologist, they ask you about like how many days in the last year did you feel this? How many times did you take this prednisone? How many flares did you have? And a lot of times patients don't remember these things. But if they have this app, they could look up on the graph and then they could just give the answers very quickly. So I think from a physician's perspective, this would be valuable as well. So that down the line, that is something I would be interested in.
Yeah, I would definitely look to accelerate that, because I think that's going to really help launch you further as a trusted resource, as everyone else was saying.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid. Excellent job presenting today. Now, like Ravel, you are done presenting for the day. So I hope you get a chance to relax. Next up is Noted.
All right, just testing my mic, make sure everybody can hear me also. And can everybody see those slides? Okay, awesome. So hello, my name is Kevin Stoltenborg, and I'm here to present Noted, a way to redesign the path to your career. So what's the problem? Well, as you can see in this graph, high skill level and low skill level jobs have less opportunities than there are qualified workers. However, middle skill level jobs have more opportunities than there are qualified workers. The economic impact of this is massive, and the social impact is an increasing divide between high income families and low income families. So what exactly is a middle skill or specifically skilled job? Well, it's a job that requires more educational and training experience than a high school diploma, but less than a four-year college degree. This includes EMTs, teaching assistants, and power line installers. Just to get a general gist of what the salary range is for these specifically skilled jobs, in the low end, you have $30,000, and the high end, you have $100,000 or more. Now, to a population of 10 million unemployed people, that kind of salary would mean something special. So how do we get people qualified to receive these benefits? Well, our solution is Noted, the middleman between employees and employers. What we do is train employees with the skills they need to land the job at no upfront costs. We're able to do this by contracting a percentage of the student's salary once they have secured a job. Meanwhile, they're gaining valuable, directly related, in-depth skills for their desired career. On top of this, instead of throwing you to the wolves, we're there by your side to help with career services so that you land a job and get paid, and we get paid as well. So what's our business model? Well, we contract 10% of the salary for a minimum of 6 months or until all costs are settled. What this equates to with an average specifically skilled job salary is about with 0.001% of the market, we can generate a revenue of nearly $300,000. Of course, this increases as more students secure jobs and more students secure higher paying jobs. But the big question, what's the competition look like? So some companies will offer certification programs and some universities will offer diplomas, but these lack job security. Where we stand out is we provide that job security. Other companies might provide job security, but it is not specifically in the market that we're targeting. What we have as competitive advantages is the lowest payment rate while also helping secure specifically skilled jobs in blue-collar industries. As stated previously, we provide those career services, but more importantly, we have relationships with hiring companies to mitigate unemployment risk and relieve job stress. The bottom line is, instead of having you bet on our services, we put our money where our mouth is and bet on you and our services to help you succeed. So let's get noticed with Noted and get you the job you deserve. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. Excellent job. So let's kick off this one with a question from Adrienne.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks for your enthusiasm. That was really, really good. I have a ton of questions and I know I can't ask all of them, so I'm just going to jump to the couple that stick out the most to me. On your list, you included people who have access to the kind of training that you're talking about for free. For instance, a police officer. The police department has its own police academy. So what would you, I want to understand exactly who your market is, because some of those jobs that you listed, the hiring organization actually trains the people in their processes. That's the first piece of it. The second question goes to where you would find your clients, because I'm not clear if the client is the person looking for a job or the hiring company, and maybe both are clients, and if so, who's paying the 10% fee?
Okay, that's awesome. Great questions. And I'll start with your first question about who's going to be looking for these jobs. And although I did include that slide of what a typical middle skill level job is, just to kind of get a gist of where we're reining in, some of the employees that, or target markets in a sense, that we'd be looking at are the ones that can be translated, maybe bypassing the government systems for now. So police officers being besides the point, but maybe something more electrically inclined, like a power line operator or a teaching assistant is the main focus in the beginning. And as for your second question, where to find clients, this is actually very interesting, because throughout my journey, I've been able to connect with so many great people. And one educational program actually reached out to me to start this program on the career services MVP sort of level. So not offering exactly the program in a sense, but offering those career services to help resume development and also just how to stand out in a job application process. And through that, I was able to build the connection without even actually marketing or trying in a sense. And it was just kind of a serendipitous, beautiful moment. So in that sense, to your point about who are we targeting for that 10%? Mostly it is the people who are getting the job, not necessarily a company or educational program that's getting us there. They're kind of the avenue to reach those potential and hopeful employees so that we can secure that 10% with them in a contracted agreement.
And do you have an exclusive deal with them, or if they find any job, even if you don't help them, do they have to pay 10%, or is it only for the jobs that you help them secure?
Yes, definitely. So through the that would have to be kind of taken on a base-to-base standpoint with each employee through that contractual agreement. But in my opinion, I think it would work out best if in the contract there was an actual agreement that this is the industry that you're going to go into. And if you don't go into that industry, then there might be a fee to help compensate those services. But from a standpoint for right now, I think it's just best to keep an open mind in the contractual agreement. Thank you so much for the questions.
We have time for one more from John.
Thank you. Yeah, great presentation. I think you highlighted a lot of competition in this space, and Adrian highlighted the fact that you're competing against some organizations that provide this training for free. When I think about how you would differentiate yourself from that competition, because you have a lot of different avenues there, what I'm not understanding is why someone would go to you versus use either typical headhunters, recruiters, and LinkedIn, Glassdoor, and a number of other trade sites where all these jobs are listed.
Definitely. So I think where the big differentiator between that and our product is the sense of almost throwing your application into a black void and going through the job process right now. I know Indeed and LinkedIn, especially LinkedIn, you can send in an application and you'll be maybe seen by a potential candidacy of nearly 10,000 people or 1,000 people, and even then it's those integrated relationships that is key, that you build with hiring partners to kind of mitigate that unemployment risk like I was alluding to, but also relieve that job search stress, so that when you come to Noted, you know that there's almost a certainty that you're going to land a job. And plus, if you don't land the job, some of these other companies will have you pay anyways. And so now I have no income having to pay a job or a service that didn't even help me. And in our sense is if we don't help you, then you get to start and kind of build without any restrictions holding you back.
Great. Just one little piece of advice on something that you said to Adrian's question.
Yes.
Don't box yourself into having so many unique contracts with your potential clients. You won't be able to scale the business. I group it into, if you can, kind of a level of service that you want to provide to different candidates, kind of like a good, better, best kind of model in marketing offers. That's how I would approach it.
Awesome. I appreciate that so much.
Thanks, John. And thank you, Kevin. It's your turn to take a break. You're done pitching for today. Excellent job.
Thank you.
So next we'll move on to Toby. Maura, welcome back. You can share your screen and get started.
Can you guys hear me okay? I actually had a computer malfunction between the last round, so on a new computer, but we're here, all good.
Hang on one second, Maura. I'm trying to find you so I can spotlight you, but oh, there you are. Okay, sorry about that.
No worries, thanks.
Okay, now everybody can see you.
Am I good to go?
I think so.
Great. So hi, everyone. My name is Mara, and I'm here to present my company, Toby, a company modernizing the sewing machine and the culture around it. So I started Toby because a couple of months ago, I went to buy a sewing machine. I went to Joann Fabrics, where I had the most archaic shopping experience of my life. I had to personally wait for somebody to help me. And then I was given a quote with different options. And then even the models that I presented with that were decent options all cost between $600 and $800. Needless to say, I didn't leave with a sewing machine that day. I unfortunately probably wasn't the only one who had this awful experience, given that sewing machines actually reached their peak popularity in this past spring compared to the past 5 years, and they've sustained that growth throughout this past year in relation to the previous 4 years as well. You might be asking yourself, why now? Why is sewing having a comeback? Well, first and foremost, there's an awareness of the environmental and human costs of fast fashion. Meanwhile, other options such as independent or sustainable design are not affordable to most people, and they're not able to scale their economies. And then lastly, we have a new generation that finds satisfaction in reinventing old stuff. So in terms of the market, the sewing and crafting market is already a $36 billion market, but we're seeing the re-commerce and thrifting market start to have relations to sewing as well. So maybe instead of, thrifting something or reselling it, you might mend it, upcycle, etc. On the contrary, you might mend things that, you want to sell, or upcycle things, to make them a little bit more modern before selling them to help you get a higher resale value as well. Sewing isn't just hand making clothes. It's a way to prolong a garment's life, use what you have, spend less money, earn more money selling things, rework clothes for new trends, or even personalize your clothes. But sewing still faces, some stigmas that prevent it from reaching its full potential popularity. So it's seen as difficult to learn or frustrating to do. It's seen as costly, and then there's the stigma of it being grandma-ish, of course. So I'm solving all of those three things with Toby, my company. So first and foremost, we're making sewing easier to do with our reinvented machine. We're making it more affordable by selling direct to consumer. And lastly, we're really speaking to this next generation of consumers and exciting them about, upcycled clothing and the potential of that. So this improved machine, just to highlight a few things, it will have a better ability to work with Dickinson fabric, automatic setting adjustments, guided troubleshooting, low noise and fewer cords, helping to improve the sewing experience. And the cost will be about $150 to $200. We'd be competing as a direct-to-consumer business, so competing against the sewing machine companies and the sewing and craft retailers. We'd really be picking up where they left off, in terms of making a machine that works better for consumers today and marketing it to this younger consumer base as well. So my progress so far, I've done market research to, come up with these things that we're changing about the sewing machine. I've sourced a design partner who can, create this. And then I'm currently raising money to fund product design, prototyping, and manufacturing for this new machine. Long term, it's not just the sewing machine. We can sell complements and expand this model to other craft categories such as weaving, knitting, etc. I'll leave you with our value prop. Thanks so much for taking the time to listen to me today.
Thank you, Mara. So let's kick off with a question from Jian.
Okay, well, as a daughter of someone who sews, I wish I could claim that talent. I had a couple of thoughts here, though. I'm curious whether, when I look at that spring 2020 peak, the first thing I think is COVID. And so I'm kind of wondering if the market has already peaked, because my mom has her sewing machine from literally when I was a baby. So like 20, 30 years here. And so I'm wondering though, once you sell one of these, it's not a disposable item. Is there really a market here? I think it's great though. Obviously you want to give people more freedom, more options. I like that it's financially sustainable. I also thought your presentation was really on point. But, I would just be concerned about the growth going forward.
So that's a great question. So again, that data is from Google Trends. So that just shows, how many people search for sewing machine. And of the past 5 years, the peak, yes, was spring 2020. Definitely some reasons to that. People being at home, maybe rediscovering something that they haven't. But I do think that there is, sustained growth and even opportunity for further peak long term. Again, in comparison to the previous 4 years, this past year has shown that those level of searches are well above what it was in the past. There's definitely a growing awareness there. And then also to speak to the fact that, maybe some of those people, for example, got interested in sewing during quarantine and they maybe used, their grandmother's old machine or something like that. Those machines can break, they can stop working, they can be frustrating to use. That was exactly my situation. So I wanted to, continue and go out and buy something that was, easier to use, but still wasn't, crazy expensive. Of course, as well too. So I think I hope that answers your questions a little bit.
Yeah, I do want to say I love that it promotes sustainability, which is something that we need to talk more about. And
Absolutely. Yeah. Also, I had to say quickly, I think I know you. I think I interviewed you for my previous magazine, Make Muse. I'm not sure if you remember, but we did an interview a couple years ago. So funny world, long, short story.
I would love to connect with you after this, but anyway.
Absolutely.
Cool. All right, so we can connect both of you offline too. We have both of your emails, so it's good to know. Let's close with a question from Brandon.
Yeah, hey Mark, thanks for the presentation. Congrats on what you've built so far. It's great to hear that you're using Google Trends, trends.google.com. It's a super easy and free resource that founders can use to help put together that customer profile and find out, where people are searching for sewing machines. And of course, you showed us when people were searching for sewing machines, when they had its peak, and really good stuff to use for your marketing, for your e-commerce marketing, for your retargeting. That'll be really important for the business. This is a physical product, and producing it is going to be capital intensive. I would love to hear more about what your strategy is from a capitalization standpoint. I understand you've done some fundraising to date, but what I've seen with companies, whether they're Shark Tank or otherwise, is if you don't have that path figured out in a concrete way, it can be difficult to get these ideas fully off the ground.
Yeah, absolutely. So I would say I'm one step ahead of you. I do have a design partner source, and I actually chatted with, more than a dozen as to find this, who would be the right partner. And I've done, the research, and we've come up with exactly what we want this product to include, done all the market research there. And I did have those mock-ups in the presentation as well, which I'm happy to kind of jump back to there as well. But again, of what I'm really raising money for right now is to fund this product design. So you can see the cost breakdown here, as well as the monthly timeline as well. So I do have everything, I will say, very broken down. I know where the funds are going, which I think, really sets me apart. I'm prepared to take the next steps as well too. Obviously with a physical product, there is, more investment than, a tech company, of course. But I think, just because of the nature of this, and it's so needed. And we're also seeing, a lot of direct to consumer companies really hitting their, peak and thriving right now as well. So I think that there's a lot of, opportunity for growth, and really excited to build something like this. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, that starts to definitely. Is there any, I know that there was a peak driven by the pandemic probably last year in terms of searches for sewing machines, but from your competitors, from sewing machine sales in general, is there any seasonality to it? And if there is a seasonality to it, with the current capitalization strategy that you have, will you be able to actually produce a product to be able to take advantage of that seasonality, of that seasonal opportunity?
I don't necessarily see it as something seasonal with the way, the trends are turning. There's obviously a more awareness for, upcycling and, just showcasing thrifting's popularity as well too. 30 years ago, 20 years ago, thrifting was definitely not as big as it is today. And I see this as like, the little sister or cousin or whatever you want to call it to that as well too. So it's really reaping off, future trends as well as, current growing awareness.
Thank you, Brendan. Thank you, Mara. So with that, we have closed the presentations for today. Excellent job. And now everyone is done. Nobody else has to pitch anymore today.
Thank you so much, judges. I wanted to say thank you as well too.
Yeah. So a couple of housekeeping notes before we move into the breakout rooms. I see that many of you have put these initials in your breakout or in your Zoom names. If you haven't yet put one of these sets of initials in front of your name on Zoom, please do so now so we can assign you to the room that's of most interest to you. If you don't, we'll assign you to a random room. Maybe you'll learn something new. Maybe you'll discover a new interest. And then if we move on to the next slide, we'll pull up the Pre-VC app one more time so everyone sees that code. You can vote for your favorite teams. It's a lot of fun to vote. It's a way of everybody getting to choose a winner today. And if there was a team that presented earlier in the day who wasn't in the finals, you can vote for them as well. So scan that code. You're about to be kicked out into breakout rooms soon.
Okay, well, welcome back, everybody. We're just putting together the final technical touches here so we can do the big reveal that Brandon will be doing. But I just want to take this moment to thank everybody for participating and thank everybody who came and watched. It was a long day, certainly on Zoom, right? I mean, even though we shortened it up from its normal in real life length, it's still, spending 4 hours or so on a Zoom is a bit of an undertaking. So thank you, especially thanks to Lauren Sweeney, who did a fabulous job emceeing. And this is Lauren's first time in the barrel. You wouldn't know it because she really kind of had lots of poise and flair and really kind of kept the thing going. So appreciate that. And I'd like to thank everybody from the Foundry who made this happen today. So Milton Sussberg is on. I see him in his Fordham shirt, the director of the Foundry. Sean Johnson, the associate director of the Foundry. And then our interns who are behind the scenes are the ones that are frantically doing all of this. And I'm getting, 300 Slack messages a second because they're the ones that are actually sort of making it all happen. So thanks to Will Brodlow, thanks to Shirayu Shaw, thanks to Joe Nussbaum, who came and pitched in, and also thanks to Kayla Kilfoyle for all of her work on the program, and as well as the music and the other things that she took care of that I'm sure I forgot to specifically thank her for. So I'm not quite sure where we are, but I don't know if Milton or Sean wants to say anything, and then when Will lets us know that we are ready to go, he can just kind of signal to Lauren, and then we'll take it away.
I really, the teams were amazing. This is our 5th year, and you guys were really terrific. The volunteers of judging and mentors. But I also can't tell you how much work Al did. We had the most amount of teams, and let's just say there's some issues with technology sometimes and with people sometimes. And he was very calm and very precise. So Al, I really admire the work that you do in general, but on this, it was amazing.
Well, thanks, Milton. I
Don't be
appreciate that.
embarrassed. It's very sincere. And everybody that's been associated recognizes it.
Well, thank you. But it is a group effort, and you know, the people that I didn't even thank were all the mentors. So just so everybody knows what goes into this, we probably had 20 mentors and coaches who helped all of these teams. Like Milton said, we started out with 114 of them, and we worked with all of them as that they sort of whittled themselves down the funnel. So we have all kinds of people to thank for this, and it really was a group effort. So again, thank you all. And Milton, thank you for the kind words. And I think that we've tap danced enough that Mr. Nussbaum and Mr. Brodlow seem to be indicating that we're ready to go.
Great. So with that, I'd like to echo the Foundry team's thanks to each other. Thank you to Al for leading us, Milton, Sean, Sharayu, Kayla, Will, Joe for jumping in today. Yeah, and for all of the coaches and judges, and to all of the teams who put so much work into their presentations and came so far throughout this competition. And now we'll get to learn who's taking home prizes today. So with that, I'd like to introduce Brandon Andrews. He is the founder of Gauge. You may know him as a Shark Tank. He handles casting at Shark Tank. I got too excited there. And Brandon, I'll let you take it from here.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I'd like to echo the congratulations to everyone who pitched today. Congrats on what you've built so far. Congrats on it not only being a good business idea, but everything had a positive social impact as well. You know, Damon John from Shark Tank often says that mission-driven businesses that have some kind of positive social impact at their core are the future of business, and definitely think that was reflected in the pitches today. In fact, the top business in Shark Tank history from a revenue generation standpoint is a mission-driven business called Bombas. And yeah, definitely see some businesses with some incredible potential here. I'm excited to announce the winners for the 2021 Pitch Challenge. We'll start with People's Choice, and the winner for the People's Choice Award is Fit University. Next, we'll go through the finalists from the pitch competition today. We'll start with the 4th place winner, which is Noted. Congrats to Noted. Next, the 3rd place winner, Toby. Congrats to Toby on that really interesting new physical product, a way of bringing something from the past into the future. 2nd place winner is Shorgan's Tracker. Congratulations again on building a community and building something that's going to impact a lot of folks that are affected by those autoimmune diseases around the country. Next, I want to announce the 1st place for social impact. I want to make the distinction that this one is different from the overall 1st place winner, which we will announce in just a second. The 1st place for social impact is Fit University. Congratulations again to Fit University on their incredible business. And now we'll announce the winner of the 2021 Pitch Challenge from Fordham Foundry. And that 1st place winner is Mommy Brain. Congratulations to Mommy Brain on building, again, an incredible community for mothers and addressing some significant health and mental health issues there. Congratulations on what you've built. We're all excited to see your business and, of course, all of the other businesses that were pitched today grow.
Thank you, Brandon. Congratulations to all of our winners. Everyone did an excellent job today. And those who are going home with prizes, we know you'll use them well. Everyone else did an excellent job as well. And I can't wait to see what's in store for all of you. And with that, thank you all for attending today, hearing these pitches, giving your space and energy to hearing these ideas. And one last thank you to our sponsors, SendGrid, Brex, Stripe, and AWS. And thank you all again for being here today. It's an incredibly special day, and we just got to witness a really joyful moment for these companies. Oh, and then I have some housekeeping announcements, so don't go yet. I'm too caught up in the moment. What's next at the Foundry? We have a summer accelerator program that we will be running from May 24th to July 16th. We'll be helping you take a concept to the next level. We'll be working closely with members of the Foundry team and friends of the Foundry team, like those you saw here today. We have another pitch competition coming up in just a few weeks against Manhattan College. Fordham students and alums versus Manhattan students. It'll be students only. That will be April 13th at 6 p.m. We will send out links to register for the Summer Accelerator or Manhattan College's Battle of the Bronx. So if you're here listening to this, you will get follow-up, but just know to look out for that in the emails you'll receive. And lastly, I am hosting an event called Ways Women Lead on Monday in collaboration with Fordham's Social Impact Collaboratory. We'll be discussing our associations with the words women and leadership, and we'll be thinking about the type of leadership that the 21st century requires. There will be no panelists, there'll be no speakers. Everyone who participates in the event will be participating equally and sharing their ideas. So we're trying to create a collaborative space, a very feminist space in celebration of Women's History Month. So that will be Monday at 6 p.m. And we will be sending out a link to RSVP or learn more about everything I just listed: the Summer Accelerator, the pitch against Manhattan College, and the Ways Women Lead event. So thank you all again for being here today.